session, 2019-2020. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. After that, we'll do roll call. Chief,
Place your hand over your heart.
yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And now, Madam Clerk, can you do a call for us, please?
Councilman Galvin. Councilman Desilme.
Here.
Councilwoman Estime Irvin.
Present.
Vice Mayor Keys. Mayor Bieneme.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum to proceed.
Thank you very much. The first budget hearing is now open. And before we move forward with the first item, we're going to take a pause and we're coming back. Thank you.
Let me ask you, so this new thing goes where?
Arthur, can you put the time, what time it is, please? Set the time. Yes, no, I won't have to put it here. Thank you very much. We're back in session. As you all know, this is our first budget hearing. Madam Clerk, can you verify the quorum and move forward, please?
Councilman Galvin?
Here.
Councilman Desilme? Councilman Estimate Irvin?
Present.
Vice Mayor Keys? Here. Mayor Bienemay?
Here.
Councilman Desilme?
Here.
Mayor, you have quorum to proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. Do you have any addition or deletion to the special
No, I do not,
meeting
sir.
tonight? City Attorney, are we set?
Yes, Mayor, the agenda is set.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Tab A, Resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, adopting a tentative millage rate of 7.5000 mils for fiscal year 2019 to 2020, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Thank you very much. Tab A. We are going to open it to the public. Anyone wish to speak on tab A? Please come forward. No one show. On the dais, please. Do you have any question? Any? No? Can I hear a motion on tab A, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab A. The motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Sorry.
Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab B, Proposed Ordinance, First Reading of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, adopting and approving the budget of the City of North Miami for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2019, and ending September 30, 2020, authorizing the amount to be raised by taxation for the operation of the city for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. Authorizing the expenditure of funds established by the budget, authorizing a return on investment transfer from the Water and Sewer Utility Fund to the General Fund, authorizing the city manager to implement budget amendments, revenue and/or expenditure to appropriate or unappropriate funds as required during the fiscal year, and to amend the prior fiscal year budget to facilitate the year-end closing process, providing for repeal, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you very much. Do we have a presentation on tab B? Yes. Thank you.
Good evening. Okay. This is a presentation.
Can you identify yourself, please?
I'm sorry. Rosalind Ray Morgan, Budget Director. And this is a presentation on the 2019-20 proposed budget. Okay. Presentation will include information on the total budget, and specifically the general fund budget, the revenues, expenditures, and the millage rate, and other funds, and some budget highlights. Total budget is approximately $182 million, and 41% of that budget is made up of the general fund, which
Excuse me, we don't have a copy of that yet. Okay.
You want me to continue?
Hold on. This is not what we have. And
The presentation
presentation.
book,
Okay.
if we can go over. Okay, do we want to wait or can we move forward? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. As I said, 41% of the budget is made up of the general fund, which approximates $75 million. The next highest is water and sewer. And then we have our internal services budgets, which are comprised of fleet management and risk management, and the stormwater budget, and housing funds and transportation. And this is a 5-year history of the adopted budgets. It goes from fiscal year 2016, where the budget was $57 million, up to the proposed budget today, which we're presenting, which is about $75 million. And the general fund revenue. General fund revenue, the bulk of it, which is about 32%, is comprised of ad valorem taxes. It's about $24 million. Next is the other taxes, and those are generally miscellaneous taxes, non-revenues of $7.9 million, and again, miscellaneous revenues of $8.4 million. And charges for services comprise about 9% of the budget. And then we also have intergovernmental revenues of $8.3 million. Okay. And this is a breakdown of the expenditures in the budget. We have personnel services of $42.7 million, operating services, internal services, capital expenses.
This is not what we have.
No,
I'm
it's,
assuming.
no, we not have the presentation.
So you have, the presentations, they're bringing copies down the presentation, but some of these charts, as you see them in the presentation, will be similar to the ones that are in the book that we provided. And
The budget workshop that we had
Yeah.
previously, but they're gonna bring another copy
Yeah.
for us.
Okay.
Okay. Grants and aids and our reserves. Okay, and this is basically a chart of all the revenues compared to this one. Okay. Okay, and this is a 10-year millage rate history. Shows that 10 years ago, the millage rate was 8.196, and as of today, the proposed millage is at 7.5. And that it's been 7.5 since 2017, and prior to that, it was 7.9336. Okay, and this is the chart of the revenues, property tax revenues, and we experienced about a $2.5 million increase in property tax revenues, and that's due to property values increasing. The majority of the majority of the increased value took place in the community redevelopment area, and 65% of that increase went to the CRA, and 35% to the general fund. Okay, and this growth does not include Solomia and Costco Construction because they did not have final certificates of occupancy as of January 1, 2019. Okay, and here's a chart of our general fund expenditures. And as you can see, the largest portion of this pie chart is consists of personnel costs, and that's about 57%. Okay, and then you have next are your operating expenses, which is about 20%, or $14.9 million.
Excuse me, go back, please, since I
Sure.
don't have a copy.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the great, I see, internal. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And these are the general fund expenses by each of our departments, starting with the mayor, council, city manager, city clerk, and so on. And the shaded areas shows the adopted budget, next year's budget, and and the increase or decrease of the variance. And in total, I believe that's about about a 7% increase overall. Okay, and we have our enterprise funds, and they total, that's stormwater. It totals 5.138 million. And the increase which was discussed at the workshop, those numbers have been incorporated into the stormwater budget. Okay, and then we have our water and sewer budget, which is second in line to the general
What page
fund.
is that, please?
12.
Page 12.
12, okay.
And the water and sewer budget, as displayed here, is about $59.5 million. Okay, and this is our information on the sanitation rates. And as we discussed in the budget workshop, we're requesting an increase. That increase has been incorporated into the budget, and it's about a little over $1 million. And as shown here, the total cost per year per resident will equal $102.48. Okay, and it basically shows you the cost per day, cost per month, cost per quarter. And I believe the residents are billed on a quarterly basis, so on the quarterly bills, it'll reflect an additional $25.62. Okay, and right now, that difference, every year, the customers pay annually $254. However, we pay Waste Pro $356, and we're basically asking that cost for the service that the customer is receiving be borne by the customer. Okay, and this is information on our stormwater rates. And again, we talked about that during the workshop, and we have also incorporated the $1 million into the budget. The comprehensive master plan recommends that we spend this amount each year in order to keep up with the improvements that are required for the system. Okay, and this is a rate increase summary, basically taking into account the sanitation increase and the proposed and the stormwater increase. And in total, between the stormwater increase and the sanitation rate increase, it's a total of $141.67 per year increase. This is a list of the public works projects, and it's by funding source. Miami-Dade County we'll be getting a grant from the Miami-Dade County in the amount of $3 million, and that's to do widening along in the area of David Lawrence High School. Okay, and we're finalizing all of the requirements right now. And for the half-cent surtax, we'll have sidewalk and right-of-way improvements, and improvements along 151st Street. That includes widening and the pedestrian and bicycle bridge over the canal on Northeast 131st Street. And for the half-cent surtax, we'll be spending a total of $472,000. And street resurfacing, funding for that will come from the local option gas tax, about $290,000. And the water and sewer improvements included here, a total of $21 million. And they include upgrading of the existing lime softening water plant, sanitary sewer rehabilitation, and water meter, water main, and water line replacements. Again, that total is $21.4 million. And finally, the stormwater improvements from the Stormwater Utility Fund. That's the $1 million in improvements that have been incorporated into the budget based on the increase. Okay, and finally, basically, state law requires that we present a balanced budget. And in order to get to a balanced budget, we had to enact certain measures, and those measures included the freezing of certain positions, elimination of full-time and part-time positions, some department reductions, and also the budget includes some other highlights. The budget also includes fee increases, new fees, one-time revenues, additional reserves to address the deficit, and creation of a new Housing and Social Services Department. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have anything to say about that?
Just to put on the record that we spent quite a bit of time working on the budget. I know there's various revenues, some expenditures, but we did our best to adopt some of the direction that the council provided us during the retreat. One of the items that is not reflected there is a $2.5 million investment, actually a 3.1 when we include CDBG, into affordable housing initiatives. We have some increases in our senior services that are included in the budget. So just wanted to point those additional things out to the council.
Thank you very much. And now we are going to open it to the public. Public hearing is now open on the budget. Public hearing is now open on the budget. Anyone wish to speak, please come forward.
Good evening, Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125 Street, Sunkist Grove. I'm wondering why Parks and Recreation is not included here in expenses, general fund expenses by department? Or is it there and I didn't see it? Oh, I see, Parks and Recreation. Okay, I'm wondering why, given we have a friendly $8+ million deficit, that there hasn't been any decreases. Everything is an increase. Everything's increased, no decrease. I'm wondering why. I'm wondering why in the Public Works Capital Project, you don't have anything on the west side. We are part of the city, taxpayers too. I would like to see a project on the west side, in the Public Works Capital Projects. I'm wondering why the rates keep increasing, and why you decided not to subsidize the sanitation subsidy, which you had always had. I would like to see a reduction in the grants and aids expenditure, which you decided to increase by, is that $2 million? I don't know if I see it clearly. You haven't chosen to reduce anything, and we're at $8+ million deficit. Something's wrong. Can't see what I had here. Well, anyway, I want to know why. Why haven't there been any decreases since we are facing a deficit? Many of the council people who ran said that they would favor a decrease in their, what is it, discretional funds? I don't see that reflected in these numbers.
I'm sorry.
asking for more responsibility in this budget. I object to the fact that you have to have a computer and print out your own budget. I requested for a copy of the budget and was not given one. We need more transparency. It's a new year. Let's do better. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bob Pashon, 13005 Coronado Terrace. Some of the same questions. I tried to go through the 100-page budget, and it's looking for some backup and some detail. As I was looking at the presentation now, I mean, I agree with Jessica. The grants and aids and the internal services seem to be up quite a bit. And that grants and aids, without knowing anything more about it, they're up almost 3x. And trying to get a budget in balance, that would seem to be an interesting place to look at it. The salaries, I mean, not just year over year, but if I go back 3 years, I mean, with your spreadsheet, the mayor and council, that's over double. The city manager's office is over double increases. And we just seem to have we got a lot of increases for a city that's trying to get some fiscal responsibility back in the house. So there wasn't as much detail as I would like to have seen within the 100 pages, and I would hope between now and the next meeting that there's something that identifies what's behind some of these figures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is still open on the budget. Please, we have two mic. The next two persons.
Sarah McDevitt, 14490 Northeast 10th Avenue. I just had a question, and I'm sure it's probably detailed somewhere, but when it says road widening in the area of David Lawrence High School, if I'm not mistaken, we have David Lawrence K through 8 and Alonzo Mourning High School, so I don't really know where is the road widening taking place. Which intersection?
When we're done, we're going to
Okay.
answer the question.
But that would just be
Yes.
a curiosity, what that is exactly, the intention is. And then 151st, obviously, is that same roadway. And so just some clarification on where that money is actually being spent would be awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Judy Brown, 1100 Northwest 128 Terrace, Sunkus Grove. My question is the increase in sanitation. I understand, and I listened to what was presented to the council, mayor and council, and I'm very much concerned about that. The people don't know about it yet, but when it hit, you will get I know my council person is going to be inundated with questions about the sanitation because it's always, the utility bill is extremely high. For some people, it's difficult. Also, Kohler. I didn't bring my little notepad, but looking through that, I can't see this too. My eyes are not well. I can't see too well with this writing is so small. But is there, this is a question I would like for you to address, the Kohler, the increase, because the last time it was really high. I mean, I really, really would like for you to talk about that. I mean, because it was like unbelievably high. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is still open on the budget. No one has any other questions about the budget? Public hearing is still open.
Mr. Mayor, motion we close public hearing since there's nobody else.
Public hearing is closed on the budget, and now let's come to the dais. And before I'm gonna let the city manager say something.
I
and
apologize.
If you can answer those two questions,
I'll
and then
answer and I apologize for not stating it earlier. With regards to our reductions, we did, to address the deficit issue, there is an add back in this budget of $6.4 million to the reserve. So we did address that issue as well as part of the cuts we did. As far as the COLA's on 2%, 2% increase to it's an across the board that would happen at the beginning of fiscal year. So it's 2%. And then the final question,
The first question is, and she stated that we have a budget deficit. Why that increase in our budget from 69 million last year to 74 this year? That's the first question.
Well, the general answer to that overall question is, in prior years, we had surplus that we rolled into the budget to be able to fund some one-time expenditures and, more importantly, the reserve. And this year, because we had a deficit, we had no rollover available, so we actually had to physically fund the reserve this year, the $5 million that we're required to have. And in addition to the $5 million, we added another 1.4 on top of that to help go back into the reserve. With regards to that one capital project, the widening is at the intersection of 151 and approaching Biscayne. So basically at the intersection around the curve from where Alonzo Tracy Morning High School and David Lawrence K through 8. So that same area.
That means it's not just in front of David Lawrence,
Yeah.
it's
all-
outside.
Yeah, and as well, should put on the record that the developer, Solomia, is doing a portion, and then the county's doing the remainder.
Let me explain. It's page 12. If I'm no, it's not page 12. Capital project. Okay, the $3 million. I think it's page 16. That's when the county is paying.
Correct.
It's putting $3 million. Okay, they're gonna give us the money for the improvement.
That is
Okay.
correct.
How much will be the cost of the entire
that.
project?
It was within that budget.
Oh, it's gonna be
Yeah.
within the $3 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know exactly what it's gonna be doing?
Uh,
Are we gonna have a presentation in the future? If
I'm not sure if it's been procured yet.
Okay.
They're finalizing it. Okay, so they'll be doing design. We'll be bringing it back to the
did
council.
we apply for the money already? The $3 million that you put in the budget. That's enterprise fund, right? Okay. This is the question for the resident before we move.
Good evening, Whistler Pierre Lewis, Public Works Director. The county is offering to enter a JPA, Joint Participation Agreement, with them, where we will manage the project. However, they'll fund the construction and design of the project. We are waiting to obtain a proposal from the engineer, so the design has not started yet. Once we get the proposal, we'll be able to hash out all the details.
Thank you very much. And did you address the COLA for? Yeah, you did? Okay. Now, let's come to the dais. I don't know who want to speak first. Carol, you want to go first with all your questions? And I think every council member will have about 30 minutes to address the budget. If you
Wait,
wish to do
Mr.
so.
Mayor. I don't know if that's going to be enough.
No,
Before
if you want more than that, that's fine.
Because what I was going to say.
Councilman Desumi go first.
No, I don't want to go first. I was saying if we could set parameters of how we doing it. Remember in previous years?
This is how we're going to do.
Yes.
Everybody going to
They're
have a
gonna get a
chance
chance.
to
Okay.
address the budget, whether it's
So
30 minutes or 1
got it,
hour or
got it,
2
got it.
hours. And after that,
Do you want us to go through it?
no, I want you to
collectively? My
address
concern.
all
Got
your
it.
concerns.
Okay.
And after
Got
that,
it.
if we
Carol,
have to, but understand that anything that we are going to change in the budget, we're gonna have to take a
Mention-
vote after that.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Carol, you
No
wanna
problem.
go first? You have 30 minutes or more to address.
I'm not going to take that.
That's
I have
fine.
just for, I'm not going to go through this all. I've had like 3 or 4 memos to staff asking a lot of questions. If I don't ask questions tonight, I've asked, not going to do that. I've gotten answers. However, some of the things, I'm still waiting, and I know I got this afternoon, the revenue from Solomia. I understand the 840 is for the Oaks rental, the 20,000 for those people.
Can you say exactly where you at so people can?
I'm
you
kind
don't have-
of on a
okay.
different,
Okay.
just different numbers. I don't know if they're in the original book that's there, just additional numbers being received over the last few weeks. So we've got some numbers from Biscayne Landing, and there's a $20,000 income item. Is it two? This is going to be too difficult. So there's $840 shown in the budget, and that is the item, because it's taken me a while to get exactly what these numbers are for. $840, I have found out, is from the Oaks. So the Oaks, which is
$840,000.
$840,000 is from the Oaks, the original two towers. They are still paying us a lease payment. So there's one item for $840. There's another amount in there of $20,658 from Biscayne Landing. It says Costco. So even though we got $2 million, even though we got $2 million, we can only include $20,658 per year. And that's going for how many years? That's
For 99
100 years, 99 years.
Yeah.
So the money from Costco did not get included in the budget, which is something I was trying to find out, because it has to be amortized over 100 years because it's a lease payment. There's one final number that I'm still wrestling with of $2,300,000, and we've got money from the Oaks. We have a lease payment. We were getting $1.5 million for lease payments for the entire parcel. We sold 50 units, which is approximately a third, so the lease payment went down approximately $400,000 or $500,000. So we're still getting that. I'm still working on that. The numbers are what they are, and I hope to have those finalized soon. I've got the amortization chart. We sold the 50 acres. We took back a purchase money mortgage, and we're getting $1,750,000. So in there, people were questioning, well, what's that $1,750,000 we sold for assets? That is the purchase money mortgage, and every year for 10 years, we get $1,750,000 back. That's only the principal. And I'm just getting these numbers. So the interest payment on it is about $428,000 this year we're going to get. That's the October payment. So I just want to know if that's in that amount also. So there's just some numbers. I'm trying to get exactly where they are. I'm just putting it on the record. I don't expect people to really be able to follow that. But something I'd like to bring up, I might as well do that now, is when we sold the 50 acres, we took back a very large purchase money mortgage, because my personal feeling is when you sell land, we shouldn't be using the proceeds for operating. So it looks like we might have used, or we've used $1,750,000 for our budget. It is in our budget this year, $1,750,000. I know we've put $6 million into a reserve. This isn't allocated for reserve specifically, but I'd like this. I'm recommending that the $1,750,000 we get this year, we receive it, but it goes towards plugging back into our reserve. And when we talk about the super reserve, I would like that $1,750,000 not to be spent on operating, but to be spent on, or spent only at the approval of a 4 out of 5 council vote. So we can come back to that, but that's a recommendation.
Yeah, you can put all the,
So
say
that,
whatever you
I mean,
want,
that's
and
just
then
part of
after
that.
that, we're gonna come
So
back
that was
on
just that part of that discussion. That's the revenue, but, you know, people were asking about the sale of asset. The $1,750,000 is the sale of the 50. I know we're looking at an option to exercise for the remaining 20 acres. We use that for our budget. Solomia did not act on that, so we did not get the money, which is a cause for a deficit. We're putting, it is in here as a revenue. If we do receive it, that revenue of the $2,640,000 or $3,640,000 will go into the reserve. And it appears that we should be finalizing that in the next few months if they finalize their option. So that's rent. Um, I think staff has done a great job. It doesn't look like it. You know, there's a lot of things in there where you'll see a lot of salaries. Positions are being moved around, and you can't really see exactly what's going on. I see that every department really has lowered their fees. But I can address the mayor and council's office, because those are numbers that I have control, or I see what's going on. There are some numbers in there that I feel we need to adjust. I think it's not correct, but I just want to make it, we now have 4 full-time employees in our office, 4 full-time constituent service aides that are salaried. I'm not sure exactly if the budget, I think it might not be reflecting that. Each council person also has a part-time aide. I want to make sure when we come back with this next budget, it's reflected properly. There was moving of people, and I see how budget didn't quite get it, but when we're done, we should show the 4 salaried aides, and one of those aides is District 4's aide, which became full-time for doing certain work. So our budget should reflect 4 additional part-time aides, because District 4's aide is full-time, and council,
Yeah, that means that I don't have an aide.
he's your aide.
Oh, he's still,
He's still your aide, he just happens to be full-time.
oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, good news to me.
Well, he's full-time, and so my aide is part-time, District 1, 3, and the mayor, we all have our part-time aide, so the budget should reflect 4 full salary and 4 part-time aides when we're done with it. Secondly, we've been given a $7,000 discretionary fund, and that is for discretionary. And if we want to buy a table, we feel there's an organization we need to support. The organizations, the local organizations, do come to us. They want us to help support, and I feel that if these organizations are doing something on behalf of the city, I'm okay with that. We also have a travel budget, I think is $5,000. I had requested, we did have a $50,000, you talked about $77,000, we had a $50,000 discretionary fund, which I always thought when we got started it a couple years ago was for capital improvements. Last year we also got $20,000 for trees. This year the discretionary fund has been lowered to $45,000, which I believe we're going to have to decide this evening. Staff has recommended that $35,000 be budgeted for capital and $10,000 budgeted for trees. Personally, I would like to see it lower. I don't think we need that kind of money to be spent, but if we are going to keep such an exorbitant discretionary fund, I think it should be for capital improvements in our districts or city. Doesn't have to necessarily be in our district, but I'm recommending that discretionary in this line item be for improvements, not for events, not for parties, not for just giving to different organizations. I don't know if I'll get that tonight, but that's something that's important to me. And the trees, I had my 20,000. I think I've planted some. I still may have that money. Trees are important. It's just a matter of identifying and getting the proper trees. So if we are going to have discretionary, I would like it lower, and I would also like that discretionary for capital improvements. And the other item, and this is just from us and the money that we're spending. I can't tell, parks really how to spend and how to salary. I know they've all brought back a lot of money. They've really lowered. But we have, last year we had a budget for events, special events. And we had Hispanic Heritage for $10,000. We had Haitian Heritage for 10,000. We had Black History for 10,000. We way overspent on those events. And what you do when you have a budget is you budget what you actually spent. So I guess what we budgeted for all these special events last year was not enough. So our budget director has had no choice but to go ahead and say, okay, this is what you're spending, and this is what you've got for the budget. Well, that has increased our budget for special events to $700,000, plus $200,000 of overtime. I think that we overspent, and I don't think we should continue. The $700,000 isn't even all I think that we spent, but I don't think we should be ratifying overspending, so I'm recommending that we lower our special events down to $300,000. And proportionately, or get rid of them. I mean, we've talked about that too, but I think this year we should be a little bit more fiscally responsible, and I may have some questions later. I'm gonna have a lot of tabs. I've been through this hours. I'll still go on with staff. But bottom line is we're going to have a budget. Whatever we decide in this budget, I want our council to give direction to our manager and our budget department that whatever our budget is, that we keep it. And if we are going over the budget, then it is up to our manager and our budget director to say, this is your budget, you can't spend anymore. So if you've spent your $5,000 on travel, that's it. You've used your budget. And this discretionary, I don't like that for travel and events. If that's what you all agree, and that's what we agreed to, fine. But once we reach our budget, and that's for every department, not just council, it's for every director out there. You reach your budget, if you need more money, then you're gonna come back to the council and get approval to not follow our budget. So that's it for now. I may have some more discussion, but in general.
Thank you very much. Councilman Galvin.
Thank you. Through you to budget, Mr. Mayor, discretionary money that we didn't spend this year, is it zero lined for this next year, or does it carry over from this year to next for those of us who have remainder?
It'll carry over.
I had a request over the weekend from a resident of the district for about $20,000 in tree expenditures. I believe my money for trees last year, I did not spend any of it. Would I need to, because if there's only 10,000 for trees this year and there was 20,000 last year, I mean, I just wanted to make sure that, and he made that estimate up, $20,000. It might be 10, it might be 15. How do you suggest I handle that request that came in over the weekend for $20,000 of trees in his neighborhood?
You can send it to us right now. So we can
Yeah,
process
no, I did. It's sure. I had a resident stop by my house on Saturday morning and request $20,000 for trees in his neighborhood, which is in District 1. I don't believe I had spent any of my last year's $20,000. And even though his estimate may or may not be accurate, I just wanted to see how you suggest that I address it, and I sent it in an email Saturday night or so. So just be mindful of that. I asked that Parks or whomever come out and meet with them to see if the request is really $20,000. He made a good faith effort to go through and list all the trees and the prices for each tree, et cetera. I don't want to have to add another $20,000 right now for trees if I can cover it with last year's money, so to speak.
A quick question. Before you're going to have your 30 minutes. When it comes to
I'm
tree,
done.
just so we know that the city of North Miami have a tree master plan. That's when we say we're going to spend $20,000, for example, in District 3, we call the zoning department, whoever in CPND, they spend $20,000. They already have a master plan where tree is needed. I don't just decided buy $20,000 trees and put it anywhere in the city or anywhere in the district. Because I had an email before where people said, okay, we just put too much tree in that section versus the other section. We have a tree master plan in the city of North Miami. We are spending $100,000 on tree. That's when we already located where trees need to be added in the city. We're not putting trees like anywhere we want. Continue.
That's all
You
the
done?
that's all the questions I have right now.
And
I cede my 30 minutes to Councilman DeSume.
okay,
Because I'm gonna need it.
go ahead. Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, we have a couple of items, and Mr. Mayor, please stop me if I'm over the time
No,
limit.
you have 2 hours,
Okay,
whatever you
we'll
want.
do what we can. Thank you, sir. Mr. Manager, there's a couple of things, but I guess we could go over the revenue side, and then we could get into the expenditure. I do have some questions. First and foremost, thank you to Miss Morgan, yourself, and Mr. Brown for providing me. I had a meeting after this budget was presented with the manager, and we spent about 4 hours, I think 2 days, to go over it in details, and I had asked them for some questions, and I was very surprised in the way it was. It's a 5-page, 4 to 5 page response, and everything that I had asked them for, and I'll review some of them tonight, was answered in detail. So with that being said, I'm not really too happy with, and I mentioned that to you with the budget because of so many various reasons. A lot of the projects, I don't feel that they really answered the when we talked about the need of the residents. That's one thing. Secondly, I did like the procedure over the years where you would talk to council. I know we had one big retreat, if we want to call it that, and then we kind of give out some stuff, but nothing concrete. In previous years, I remember we would sit together with the council, and then you will present your budget. Because what's happening now, because right now I cannot support this as is, so we will have to take, I guess, what the mayor is allowed. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. And for example, what Vice Mayor Keys mentioned, so we'll have to do it up here, which kind of take a little bit longer than expected. The first one, Waste Pro. First and foremost, I guess it's 2 million. It's 1 point something million from the tax that we wanted the residents to pay from the. There's 3 items right off that we're gonna talk about, but I guess I can mention it in part of the revenue. The first one is the red light camera. Second is the stormwater surcharge, and then the Waste Pro. So adding those total together, how much are we looking at? Is it 4 or 3 million? Over 3 million? Okay.
Can you
Keep
Yes,
in
sir.
mind the stormwater
Mhm.
does not affect the general fund.
No, I know,
Okay.
but that's cost that you guys are expecting the residents to pay.
Right. Well, remember in the budget workshop, and I probably should set this context. Last year and again this year, some of these revenues that we're recommending that we increase have not been touched in
I understand
10
that.
years, and
Yes,
but
sir.
we have capital projects, particularly in the stormwater, that we're looking to fund long term. It won't have a operating impact, that the increase of the change in the revenue, but it will impact
No.
capital projects.
My thing is that those 3 items, specifically the ones that's going to the residents, those are my concern. So with those 3, we got 3 million that I'm concerned about, so we're gonna have to find a way, because I strongly feel, first of all, Waste Pro should not even come near any residents with the tobacco that we have to deal with and asking them to pay. So that is something I agree with you we have to work on, but I don't think it should be towards here just, the residents paying Waste Pro and then the stormwater. So that 3 million and the red light camera is dead on arrival as far as I know. That's just my personal opinion with those 3 line items. So right off the bat, there's 3 million that we probably need to look elsewhere. Because I do see, although some folks mentioned, I'm not too pleased with and we talked about this with the staffing. That's one item I guess we could go over, but let's just do it in order. So one of the biggest concern that I have is page 3 on the revenue. page at the, right off the bat. So the building permit from 1.7 to 2.9 million, so a difference of 1.1 million. So that projection is based on Solomia or on what that we, this is, yeah, I think it's the big, oh, you have a different color, yeah, the pink one. So the black one in your case. The page 3. Page 3, line 4, permits, building permits. Because the increase on the revenue, because it's important that we go over these, because I spent an entire weekend doing line by line, and when we met, we reviewed it. I want to understand your projection, because I don't want the year to be, we're projecting 2.9 million, and that 2.9 million does not come, so we're still in trouble. So that 1.1 increase, what's the big increase? Can you speak?
Can
Gotta
you
use a microphone,
Can you use
yeah.
him?
Yeah, somewhere.
Can you switch with her
Yeah, that
so
could
we,
be.
because she have to be on record. And can I use your
Thank you.
book?
The pink one?
No, the pink.
No.
Can you hear me now?
It's on, it's not on.
Put it on. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Project. For the audience.
That's due to Solomia and the new University of Miami
Okay.
facility and other new construction.
Got it. And that's the same, I guess that the electrical permits will be the same thing. It's a
Yeah.
600 and,
Yeah.
okay, so
They're
that
tied
kind of,
together.
okay, I got it. The next one is so
On
the total,
revenue side, right?
yeah, on the revenue, page 3. So the total increase in building permits, it's supposed to be 2.6 total increase from last year. So we're assuming those facilities will bring that up. Okay, I'm okay with that. The next page is I guess that's the same licensing fee. The FEMA reimbursement, we got your memo today. Although that you could not have factored anything in. So with that being said, with this the 4.5 that we are getting is a reimbursement.
4.3.
4.3. Okay, 4.3, 4.2.
4.5.
4.5, that's what I thought.
Oh,
Okay.
instead of 4.8. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 4.5 that we're supposed to get from the FEMA reimbursement, where does that go? Or is that new money that we have?
So we have a separate fund for those expenditures.
Mhm.
So that's really just reimbursing us for costs we have out the door. So that's not an add to the
So
general fund.
so that's part of the deficit, or
I
no?
think there was, no. There was a portion, I believe. Was there? Miguel.
Somebody get.
Right, Miguel Augustin, Finance Director. So the expenditures we incurred for the hurricane were booked as a receivable. So we had the monies booked in the balance sheet as a receivable, and they were not recorded as a revenue. They were deferred because we didn't know when we were going to get the reimbursement. So there was no income statement effect. But when we do get those funds, they will flow into the income statement. So it will be, for intensive purposes, a financing source to the city.
Okay, but so in other words, we can't count them in this budget. That's what I want to know. We cannot count that.
Well, I'm not sure when we expect to receive it. We just have
I'm
noticed
assuming
that
soon.
we will receive it
Yeah, it's-
soon, but we don't know exactly when. Could be
Real
this year,
soon,
could
I'm
be next year.
assuming.
No,
Okay.
it'll be this year. I mean, it'll be next fiscal year.
Which starts in a month. Okay, so again, so this does not make us happy, or should it? I
Well,
mean, we should be happy because we are getting reimbursement.
Yeah.
I'm saying in terms of this, not necessarily in terms of the budget.
It will not help
Okay.
the
Never
general
mind.
fund
Okay.
issue right now.
As a
Not
matter
a
of fact,
problem.
we are losing 1.8,
Yeah, 1.2.
1.5. 1.2 from there plus 300,000.
Okay.
That's been
Alrighty.
Instead of receiving,
All of
we
them?
receive less.
Okay. The shared revenue, the state shared revenue, is up also. I had a question mark by it, almost $500,000. Why?
That comes, those estimates come directly from the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
So they
yeah,
provide us with
gotcha.
that information.
So those are from the state, and that's the same thing as the intergovernmental revenue. Okay. Because the other one on that page, page 4, the passport, like, increased 42,000. Is that a projection of, we assuming that we are giving Madam Clerk a whole bunch of money to advertise to get new people, or where does that number come from?
That's, that projection is based on historical numbers.
Okay, because historically, we had from 140, 150, 187. That's when they were on the radio. You know, people knew that's when you came here, you see line and line. I'm just saying we could do that, but we have to understand that they are able to manage it, and we advertising it. People need to come here, because at one point we were going to cut it off. So I don't know if you guys are comfortable with the 212. That's fine. If we did 170 last year, or that was what's budgeted, we don't know the actual.
Alex, what page you on?
On page
That's
4,
the budget.
Vice Mayor.
Right.
So that was budget.
Right, and
So-
again, that 212 is based on historical information, looking at how much we had, how much has been collected during a certain
Doing
point in
the, okay.
time.
That-
So
okay.
I feel comfortable with
You
the
feel
number.
comfortable? Yeah, because it's
Yes.
187. Okay, but that means that some advertisement has to be, keep it going to let them know that we have this service going on, because folks doesn't think that we have it. The other one is the zoning compliance fee on page 5, an increase of 117, 117. There's a couple of them on that page, so I could just go ahead and list them. Sasso Pool, there's 287, which kind of alarming, so I just need explanation on that revenue, the 350 coming in from last year. And there is some decrease. I'm not even concerned about the decrease. The police okay, that one, never mind. So the total for that is almost, it's another $500,000 for public safety, but that also include the Sasso Pool. So I just needed the zoning compliance first.
I have to get back with,
You have a question?
You'll get back? Okay,
Yes.
she said, okay, also, what about the Sasso Pool?
which,
It's line, I know the account number.
Sanssouci.
Sanssouci, I'm sorry. The Sanssouci Gate Guard, okay.
Guard.
So we didn't get it last year?
We get paid for that.
No, I know, but I'm saying, last year we didn't get it, so this year we getting it, or, because it's 285 grand.
They
More.
hire our police officers as their off-duty officers to man their gate. So we're receiving that as revenue.
We also changed the contract this year.
That's
quite
what
a
I'm
bit.
saying. So is that, because last year it was 65,000.
Right.
But in the revenue this year, it's 350, so that's 285,000 more.
Why is that?
We
You-
get-
Why
we
is
get-
that?
We changed the contract
That's what I just wanted
quite
to get that
considerably,
on.
but they will
The
be.
chief
number
is
last
coming.
year was approximately 284,000. The number's never been 64,000. So it was, I
Okay.
believe it was in a different account number last year, but the number's always been around $280,000. So we're moving forward with the contract change and the increase in the payment. That's why the number went up.
Or they
Okay,
move it to a different
so-
account? No.
Is that,
Yeah, it's fine. We're good.
no, we're not good, because what I have here, have 2016 at 65, so is that an error, or what is that?
It probably was changed from it was 290 before. It was budgeted at 290.
Where?
Oh, that's Whole Food. I'm sorry,
That's Whole
65.
Could you let
Yeah.
Chief answer that? He's
Yeah.
got the-
Go ahead,
Good
Chief.
evening, Larry
Good evening.
Chiriga, Chief of Police. Yes, just in that one particular portion where it talks about Sanssouci Guard Gate reimbursement, it's actually 294,024, as opposed to the 65. So we're going to make
Okay.
a modification on that.
Oh, so that is,
That'll
okay,
show-
that's
that'll
all
show
I
the
just
correct
wanted
Yes, sir.
to make sure that we have on the record. Okay, so I would see whether 350, I wouldn't have any question mark by that.
And these are dollars out,
Dollars in.
dollars that come in or dollars that
Chief,
go out.
while we have you here, also the off-duty miscellaneous and police reimbursement, So last year was nothing, and this year it's 240. Oh, okay, okay. You did mention that. Just he did. Okay, just for the record, that's the school board. Okay,
Last year it was 286.
got it, got it. So it was there last year, or we didn't have it last year.
No, remember last year, that was following like all the shootings, so we kind of went into to mode before we actually got the budget done. This year, we were able to get with them. We have signed resolutions and everything in place, so we're able to include as part of our planning process.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, and that would answer that one. This, I guess the sanitation, well, the sanitation fee, the immediate, on that same page, but that 1.2 increase from 2.5 to 3.8.
That's the revenue associated with the fee increase that you.
Oh, the
already-
fee increase
you've
that
already
we are,
identified.
so
Yes.
that's the 1.2, okay,
Yeah,
that we gotta, okay, got it. Okay, and then we almost done with this. Okay, recreation revenue on page 6, 19,000 increase.
Probably from fees going up.
I don't know.
Miscellaneous. Just walk through it.
Yeah, the fee, there was a fee increase on
fee
last
increase.
year's, and these are just increases
projections.
in different fees.
Okay, and the same thing as the tennis court revenue, I guess, almost 100 grand. Would that be the same fee increase?
Yes, those are more tennis pros that are working.
Okay. I guess the only thing that would this page be part of page 5? Okay, maybe that's why I'm looking, because the total on this page is, last year was 4.9, and now it's 7 million, so it's a difference of 2 million. Is that adding page?
Yes.
Okay, the 2 pages, okay, I didn't, got it. Okay, the red light camera. Okay, so that 15, I'm assuming we're assuming we have it? Is that what that is for? The court fees?
No, red light camera is down, almost half down the page on page 7.
Now I'm
And
on
it says
page
fine.
6. There's a court fee for red light camera on page 6.
Yes,
That's different, yeah.
that's the $15,000 because generally with the red light camera,
There
their
would
court
be a
fees are
court fee.
assessed.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. Okay, and I do see the red light camera, which is the 1,087,000. But not least, which I think Councilwoman Keys had mentioned, the Solimia leasing. We talked about, so the increase from 855 to 2.3, so a difference of 1.4. I'm assuming that's the sale that
Yeah,
we're talking about.
we'll email you the same breakdown. we gave you.
Okay. Basically, well, not the royalty fee, but I guess that would be the total of that, the 1.1 million. That's, I have a question mark by that one, but I guess that's part of the other one. The next one is revenue. I guess that's the miscellaneous revenue. Almost $500,000, 440 increase from 200 to 640
You're on page 8?
on page
Page
9.
nine.
On page 9, on top of page 9. I'm sorry, Councilwoman. Top of page 9, 640 to, so the increase of 400,000.
Yes, those are, well, that's just lots of small revenues. We can get you the list, the
Okay,
detailed
please.
list.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I guess the revenue last year, the 69 and the 74 now, so it's a difference of 5 million. Am I right?
Yes.
5 million. So, which is good, because that's projection and all that. Now how do we want to do the expense? I'm on page, Mayor and Council on page 12. the one thing that I'm going to say about, strongly disagree with decreasing the what they call it, the discretionary fund down to 40, and I mentioned that to you because, as I stated, everybody here represent different constituency, and Councilman Galvin is loaded with money, and that's good because he use it very wisely, and I respect that. I may not have the same leisure as he does, but I gotta respect what he does because his folks elect him to do his job. So I do not want people to dictate or to tell me how I should spend the same taxpayer who are giving some money into this budget as well. You have your discretionary, you don't want to spend it, that's fine. You want to spend it on your capital project, your trees, I will respect that. I don't get involved in that, Mr. Manager. There's not once I ever come and have a meeting with you and I mention about any other elected official, how they spend, how they run their office, because that's not my business. Their constituent elect them to do their job. I respect that. Now, we could look at the budget overly, and as we talk about, we want to be fiscally responsible. That's fine, and I respect all of my colleagues to make recommendations because there are some real concerns that I have, but discretionary funds of $74,000 is not one of the problems that I see here. Again, if somebody want to spend their money, or if you don't want to spend it, like Councilman Galvin, who's rich with his constituent ex-him, that I don't have that luxury, and that's fine, and I respect that. And because I may have to ask Councilman Galvin to borrow.
I knew you were about to say that.
No, but I don't need them. But I'm just saying, I respect that, and the constituent needs to understand that. The people who are emailing or questioning, we represent different folks. We represent different interests. We represent different organizations. Do not think that people are giving money to illegals, to whatever that you want to think. That's not the case. There is a process. It's transparent. You may not agree on something that I'm doing. By all right, you have the right to disagree with me, and I understand that. We had an election. I did not get 100% of the vote, which I respect, but I got the majority. So let's deal with that. So, and everybody here respectively did the same thing. So everybody answered to their own constituency. That's fine. So I totally oppose that 70,000, 77, whatever it is. If a commissioner does not want their funds, I'll be more than happy to take it. If they want to put it in whatever they want to put it, that's fine. I'm all for it in terms of that. But getting into the meat and thing of this particular budget, I reviewed all of this, and you gave me the only questions that I have with the mayor and council is this miscellaneous expense, which is the 45,000. It went from 77 to 45,000. That's my particular thing with this particular budget. Going to city clerk. I would like to see a little bit more for advertising, especially if we're talking about bringing in 200,000 for passport, because we had it from 2016 when the budget was, when we were not doing good. Their expense in, I'm sorry, city manager, because we're in the city manager. I went a little bit over to city clerk. So page 15. On page 15, my concern again, Mr. Manager, was the salary. There is an increase in salary in your office from a difference of, and I need that explanation, of almost $1 million. I'm sorry, not a million, not a million.
Congratulations on that raise.
Probably from the 4.5 million. No, from 850 to 889. I don't want to go to the specific because we went into the specific when we met. I don't know how that's going to be respond, but that's one of the concerns that I have. In terms of the personnel, in that there is So that's my first question, is the explanation to the increase in your office, Mr. Manager.
My salary line item, that's just the effect of the 2% COLAs.
Okay.
And the merits.
Okay.
That's all that's there. If we go through my net, I think the biggest number that's new to my budget this year, actually, no, it was there last year. I was gonna say emergency management, but overall, my budget did increase by a net of about 200,000, and all of that is associated with the census, the increase in the census funding.
Okay. I don't personally think that we need a census, whatever, coordinator. I think you have a committee, you have different community folks that's doing that. That's just my little 2 cents into it. Because I know in the past you had Dr. Claude, whoever was the that position, they were that person, so that would be that. So there is an increase there. So I understand that, but that's just one thing I guess I have for tonight. So we'll leave that alone. And I guess we'll on the second round we'll see how we're gonna address that. City clerk, which I mentioned, the 10,000 for advertising. I don't know how with the notices and stuff that we need to get out. We went from 83, 58, 60 to 10, which I don't think a lot of us agreed with that amount. So I don't know what can be done.
We can adjust.
We could adjust. Okay, perfect.
There's no adjustment. Anything in the budget have to be on a vote.
Okay, so
There's
what
no
would be the
adjustment.
amount?
We don't, wait.
I can address, all I'm saying is I will address via my conversations with you.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's,
So, Mr. Mayor, but it's important, I think you said something, so how are we doing this? Because I remember one year, we did it up here.
no, the way we,
Or how you
no,
want
you
us to
can,
do it?
you can
So
do
do we make-
expo- do
we want you to
everything.
give us-
No, you talk about the budget,
Okay.
whatever you want, and after that, anything we are going to change, gonna go to a vote. We're gonna come
Okay.
back, do
With-
everything.
But they have to balance it, so do you want with their?
We're not
back and
there
forth?
yet.
Okay. Okay, so we just put out what we would like.
What
Is that
did
what
you
you
see
want?
in the budget? You,
Okay. So
and
do
then
you?
after that,
Well,
we're
can I
gonna
add
come
one
to a
thing
vote.
to that procedurally? So, because you have two considerations, what is the vote?
Consideration and
tonight,
why?
Mr. Attorney, the vote tonight. They,
Don't worry, don't worry, I
Okay.
know what don't worry,
Okay.
like,
Okay.
yes.
No, yes, and
Yes, go
because in the past, Mr. Manager, we have where we did it up here, and in some past, I think last year worked out.
Yeah, last year where we worked
accepted
together.
your
Yeah, we're gonna
recommendation.
change it.
Okay,
No,
got it.
we
So
can
do you
go-
want us to give numbers or what?
No,
we-
not numbers.
yet?
What
Okay,
are you talking about
gotcha.
numbers?
I'm sorry? I'm sorry,
Do your
Mr. Attorney?
presentation and
No,
then.
he's saying something. Oh, okay, to you, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I would like to see it in the increase. I'm not giving in numbers, and I'll leave that up to you.
Increase on what?
On the advertising for the clerk's office.
What line?
No, anything you gotta do, it's gonna be a
That's
vote
what I'm saying.
after that, when we're done with
Okay.
everything. After
After
Councilwoman.
Okay, got it. We
And,
would-
and
I
then me,
gotcha.
then after that, whatever it is gonna come to a vote.
Got it, got it. Okay,
Okay.
going real quick, the election. Okay, well, if we're listening, I just want to make sure.
But as far as the advertising, it never been $80. And
No, it was
there's a difference when it's
80,000.
an election year, when it's not election. There's
No,
a
no,
dif-
no, not the election. It was 80 in 2016, 83,
Listen,
58, 60.
listen, it's always been $60,000.
Okay, that's
the
fine.
rest is when we have election or something
Oh,
else.
okay.
We're
I
gonna
don't-
come to it, huh?
Okay, got it.
Can we get a
Wait,
breakdown of what the-
listen, I
can we
know,
get a
I
breakdown
know
of-
the line item, I'm the one that put it, don't worry. When it comes to this, we're gonna come to it. It's always been, it was 40, then 60.
You were
And
saying
I
would
put
like-
it 60. We're gonna work on it, don't worry.
Okay.
go
Councilwoman,
ahead.
she was
Yeah.
saying something.
I would like to see a breakdown of the actual 2018 and what the advertising was for.
It was 10,000.
But what line are you on?
Can we,
I'm
can we,
sorry. I'm on page 19.
now it's, Councilman,
Yeah, but
Page
it's-
19, line item, I guess,
The third
code
from-
318.
Yeah, so last year, the actual was 60,000.
It wasn't 60, it was 10.
No, the actual for
Is-
2018 was 60, and the budget was 10,000. What I'd like to do is see what the actual for 2018 was, and maybe
That's
what the
218,
actual
but I'm
to
talking about
date.
219.
We've been spent,
But
it's,
you're not letting me just ask a question with regard to that. I would like to see what the actual expenses in line 318 is for the year 2017-18, and year-to-date from 2018 to today. I'd like to see what the actual amounts was and what it was spent to see.
A
If we
detail.
need it for legitimate reasons, then I'm happy to vote for it. I
Okay.
just want to see it before I just give
Got
a
it.
blanket 60,000.
Got it. Okay, elections, so we contemplating nothing, so that's why it's there, right, Mr. Manager? Got it.
that's
got
why
it.
it's not there.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying there's nothing there. Okay, finance, explanation on, I guess it's the same thing that Ms. Brown was mentioning, and then you said it's the COLA went up because of the 2%, et cetera, because all of these have been going up. Administration total, the annual independent auditing, so about 10,000 increase. Just a quick explanation, Mr. Manager.
That's the contractual increase we're expecting for the
That we
audit,
expect.
for the audit services.
Okay, that's for, okay. This, okay. The business tax receipt, that's that, okay. I am going to page, I'm moving real fast, 25. The vehicle, that's my biggest thing. The vehicle, last year was 5,800, and this year's 49,000. On 25 vehicle, field operation, utility vehicles. 49, you see it on page, 25? Let me go, right here. Marsha.
Which line?
25 even more. It's the third line, actually fourth line, building operate, utility building field operation total. Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
It's for the,
The code is 441.
yes, 49,200 from 5,800, and
Okay.
that's for the vehicles that are used by the department in utility billing.
Okay, well, my question is, are we getting new vehicle?
No,
Because,
prior to, before we took over, now we have the vehicles that are used to go around and read the water meters. These are those vehicles, the costs associated with it, gas, everything that's associated with the vehicles. We didn't have it budgeted before. We had took it over the year before. It wasn't in the budget.
So where
Now
was
all
it
of the fees are
before?
budgeted now. Remember, it was an outside contractual thing before. The city never did it ourselves.
Okay.
Now we do it ourselves. This is the first year that it's gonna actually be showing up in the budget for the vehicles, for the maintenance costs and everything.
And it's an allocation.
Yeah.
Our fleet, all the fleet is in one.
Yes,
place.
sir.
Well, Miguel Augustin, Finance Director. Previously, the employees were using their own vehicles and getting mileage reimbursement. So when Code got new vehicles, we got their vehicles. So now they're part of the fleet. So that's why we have that cost.
so it's about 40,000 more we
Right, because
expecting.
it's not a cost that we had last year. We didn't have the city vehicles. They were using their own vehicles last year.
Okay. Alrighty then. Okay, lien and collection process, line 405, which is, I think that's the same thing I had mentioned to you, Mr. Manager. Ms. Meir and yourself and I need to meet on these, because I have to get a better understanding of the risk management, purpose. Marsha? Yes, okay. Okay, so it's just $5,000 increase. Well, $4,000 increase for that line item, the risk liability, general liability.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
City attorney. We talked about one item in this particular budget, Mr. Manager, in the city attorney, because it's only one page. We did discuss one item, not the legal thing, that's fine. I understand the contractual services, but one particular item in reference, so I think we'll talk to the city attorney when we meet regarding that. Personnel, I didn't have anything in personnel. The only thing is I just want to make sure, which I think Ms. Morgan, either Ms. Morgan or Arthur did confirm, so that the reimbursement is there, because it wasn't here, but the reimbursement, the tuition reimbursement, 319, it is there at 50. So we good with that, correct? Okay, information technology went up tremendously. A difference of, I guess, 5,000, so not really too bad.
Which page?
Page 29.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
That's
I'll
okay.
remind to put the page
Trying to follow.
29. Explanation?
You talking about on salary, sir?
Yes, sir.
Those are just the contractual increases.
Okay, with the,
You mean the 198 to the 206?
yeah,
Yeah, that's just the contractual,
that's
the
added to
COLAs
that.
and the merits, yes.
Okay. The other, okay, 142, okay, that's fine. And then I guess the graphic support went to your office. Is that why it's blank?
So we combined communications, so you have graphic support with PIO.
As well as admin.
And the webmaster, all in our
Okay.
office.
All right. We're moving on page 31. At the bottom, almost a $30,000 increase in network operation for equipment or lease equipment. And then there's one of a couple thousand right below that for, I guess that's the risk management. This is maintenance and operation of equipment.
Those are-
From 61 to, it's a 20-something $1,000 increase. And then the computer equipment from one, so I guess that went up, actually.
Well, the
No,
overall
it actually
budget
went
stayed
down.
static.
Yes, I know.
So, but the maintenance and operations of equipment, those are maintenance agreements that we have, contractual agreements.
Yes.
So you have those
Because this
increases
one,
there.
the overall total went down, so I
Yeah.
didn't too much, when I went line by line, I looked at that, but I wanted to see the big increase. Police, page 33. Again, salary increase from 738 to 800. Is that the,
In what division, sir?
page 33, police,
Oh, I'm sorry, police.
101, yes.
That's in the chief's office. Do we have I don't think we had a person there, so it's probably contractuals as well.
It's almost 50.
Yeah.
What is that?
Did we have any personnel increase in there? No, so yeah, that's just the contractual increases, sir.
Okay. I think if we're looking at everything, this is something that we need to look at, and see how we could manage that, because also, 306 account went up tremendously, also almost 11 grand.
Dues and memberships?
Mhm.
And we can get you a breakdown of that.
Okay. Because, the other one is the equipment rental.
Same division, sir?
Mm-hmm. So it's 200,000, about 200,000 up.
Oh, the total budget.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was giving you the line by line item, but overall it's about almost 200,000 up.
We'll get a breakdown. I see outside wages is the biggest increase in that individual, but
Okay.
in that division.
Okay, since there's nothing in HR on page 34, we're moving down to this uniform thing. Is that, let me ask the chief, through you, Mr. Manager. Are these separate unit within the department? Because that's the biggest expenditure that we have. If we're looking at everything, I don't want us to only talk about the council office and let's just do a whole thing of this. So what is the uniform patrol?
Uniform Patrol are Chief Larry Juriga.
Yes.
Uniform Patrol are the men and women who are out 24/7.
Okay,
First-
so let's
first
not even
responders.
touch those. Don't even touch those. Those are the ones that I'm really, the people who are out there, those, so I'm not really too much concerned about
Those
that.
are the
But I
ones
do.
We were increased by 30%.
Which
after
is
last year.
fine. No, I'm not even touching that. The other divisions, though, right after that, what is because there's several. The canine division went down, which is fine. On page 36,
One retired.
one retired. We need to get it back. On page 36, community policing went up.
Those are the community police officers who come to the homeowners association meetings and deal directly with the individual zones.
I know, but it went up almost $100-something thousand. Did we get?
Is that through
Joy-
equipment?
No. This is just the salary.
Merit increases and COLAs through the collective bargaining agreement,
But we didn't add any more bodies. It's just that went up.
just those.
Okay, so
No, you also have a large increase in equipment rental. We'll get you a breakdown.
okay,
on that- in that
that's
particular
under
division.
community policing administration.
and administration,
Because that's
yes.
almost $600,000 increase. So the other one, community, okay, that one is fine.
That's three.
Crime Watch, we only have one
Councilman, that's
person.
400, the one part you were discussing, I'm sorry, I'm just going through
Yes,
the different,
sir.
it's almost 400,000 in
Yes.
the vehicle maintenance.
That's under, on
Under
page
community-
36?
Under community policing, following under the administration, yes, sir.
So 441.
Correct.
That's the
I
num-
see.
that's the number,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I see that. So what is that? Because I had a question mark by it. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, the 390.
That's going to be fuel, all the different things associated with the vehicle repairs.
So how did we do that in previous year? Because the number is way, way down.
I believe what they do, just based on my knowledge of the past, they take the fleet cost and divide it by all the different departments.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, for example, 2018, it was 48,000. So what did they do differently in this budget?
In this budget, sir, the 441s are always the equipment maintenance. I'm gonna say it was moved from another department, and the vehicles have been moved over to this division, not another department, but division within the police department.
So
you
all of
just see
them?
it as-
Is it all of them or is only that department?
No, it's the police vehicles.
No, I know, but I'm saying, is it that division, community policing only?
Community policing, yes, that would be community policing only.
No, well, no. I think if you take the entire department,
Yes.
look at 441.
Exactly.
The total expenditure, we added all up for you, and that's the analysis we'll give you, was all there in the
You're a
prior
budget
year.
person, George. So,
This
okay.
division it didn't have, there was no allocation in '09.
In
which is-
in
no, excuse me,
last year,
19,
19, yes.
Which looks to me, it was probably somewhere else and not.
It
zero.
was.
Yeah.
But to me, and George, through you, Mr. Manager, you might be able to help me understand it. I understand that explanation, but how do we go from 28,000, 29,000, 48,000, and then last year was a blank, which we don't know what that is. But this year is 390,000.
Which page,
I'm on page 36, police, community policing administration. We are looking at equipment rental. And, yeah, code, the code is 441. So is that all of the police department equipment rental here?
You will have 441 in pretty much
All of them.
all the
But
departments.
in the next two, one immediately, Crime Watch, police, they don't have none under under equipment rental. So I'm trying to see, did we
I
move
think
all of them
in-
together?
No. What we need to do is give you a breakdown, and we'll provide this in some of the follow-up. We'll give you a breakdown of the 441 in police by decision unit, so you understand where it was budgeted last year versus this year.
So, but we don't have that amount last year.
You do, in total you do, yes.
And we
And
don't
the
know.
department, yeah, the department total was,
Department total last for,
Talk to you,
well,
Mike.
this year's budget.
In the mic,
$1.3 million.
1.3?
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, the amount for 2018 was 1.375
Okay.
million.
Okay. And then this year?
And the budget for this year is 1.334.
Okay.
However,
So-
next year, it increases because they have, they
No,
got a
no,
number
I
of new
understand, Ms.
vehicles.
Morgan. I kind of get the answer to my question. So this is a snapshot of the entire department budget, so it's not the whole department, it's just community policing, that's 390.
what you're going through are the decision units detail.
Right.
So it's almost like a
Okay.
a sub-department or a section or a unit within the department.
Okay.
So that's why you.
All right.
You see all the changes.
Let's just move on to page 37. Page 38 is my next one, is the Crime Watch. Okay, that's fine. Animal control is down. Okay, I'm looking because I made notation. Okay, so uniform services for traffic. What is that? On page 39.
Traffic unit, sir?
Okay. So where is that?
Those are our traffic safety officers.
No, yes, Chief. No, I know, I'm Xing budget because it's blank on our page. I know you gave me an explanation, but
That page here.
it's under a different account or what? It's that and also for communications.
I don't have that page.
That all the way up to page 42, including the police support services.
Oh. It's just a change in the decision.
Okay, but those were moved somewhere? Yes.
It was in 427 previously, and now it's in a new decision.
And then you just, okay. So that will bring us to page 42 at the bottom. That's fine. That's fine. That is okay. That is fine. Also, this is, I'm going real, so all of these, just for the record, Chief, are different division within the department. The investigation, the crime analysis, and all this and all that.
Different sections and
Different
different
section
units.
within that. Okay, so this, my favorite one, page 46. What is a quartermaster?
Quartermaster.
Educate me, please.
Quartermaster, they work out of our property room. They deal directly with the evidence that comes in, as well as court requirements, as well as the utilization of forensics to test firearms, anything dealing with property that comes in or property that's returned by our police department, either to the courts or to individuals.
Got it. So how did we go up from 270 to 359?
I'm sorry, say again, sir?
No, I'm saying, how did we go up from 270 last year to this new proposed 359, almost 360? Did we hire new people or? That's $89,000,
That was
page 46.
some of it was our purchase of our tasers, our less lethal weapons.
Mm-hmm. So that would be under the equipment, okay. So is that the 84 from equipment 312? I'm sorry, 313?
313.
Would
Yes,
that be
sir.
it? Okay. Thank you. Moving on, page 47. Okay, never mind there. There was something with the uniform I had X. Like one person, no, that wasn't the quarter part. It was something with the uniform. No, I don't think it was, there was like one person that does the uniform.
We had that discussion during the, sorry.
Yeah, doing our
When
briefing.
we were talking about the quartermaster's office, that's what I was explaining to you, that what he.
Okay, so that person does not do is there one person, because under uniform, I think it says uniform, there was one person, that's all they do? Was that,
Quartermaster distributes the uniforms to all the officers.
oh.
They keep track of all the equipment that's issued, whether it's a firearm, whether it's a less lethal weapon.
okay, so it's addition to, because you said something about the court, so it's the court and that, is that what?
Quartermaster.
I understand,
Okay.
but what is his description of that I got? He said something earlier about them doing something with the court and doing all that, blase, blase, that was that. Yeah, because it's a lot of terminology. But then he said, I said, he said, is that person also responsible for the distribution of uniform? Because that was my question in that budget. You shaking your head, Ron, Mr. Brown? Is that
Quartermaster handles both.
okay? Thank
But
you.
it-
That's all I wanted to
When
know.
you say a quartermaster, it's somebody who does property
Mm-hmm.
to and from, and then they also supply uniforms.
They
as a
also
secondary
manage the
responsibility.
uniform. Okay, I just didn't. You okay? Never mind. Because I'm like,
we have two in there. We have a
okay, no.
full time and a part time.
I understand that. I just did not think that one person was all their job is uniform. Just hand because you do that once. However, you understand what I'm saying?
They work together.
I understand, but that's not their job. They have more to their job description with that.
Correct.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So from 719 to 880, which is the total, another little thing there. So overall, I'm just asking to get clarification because the bottom line is when I look at is the grand total. So the grand total, I'm decent about with the exception of these because it went down from last year to this year. So I'm okay with that overall. So I just wanted to get those. CPND. You talked about, Mr. Manager, thank you, Chief. You talked about economic development is in here, I'm assuming. The total, so that went up and your explanation was the Golden Silver Senior Program. On page 351, I think number 312 should be, instead of special department supplies, it should actually, I don't know how we could recode that way, it reflect, this is what I'm saying, this is what you're saying for the NOMI Golden, this is for the senior program.
The senior program.
Because
that's the general ledger account we use. I mean,
okay.
Well.
No, that's fine, but I
Okay.
think when you do this, you could have put right next to social service in parentheses.
A little note to say
Because
what it
when you
is.
have special departmental supplies, and you're really talking about a budget for an entire program.
Correct.
Somebody looking at that does not know. They'll say, what is the departmental supplies that's,
We're approving the allocation right now as we discussed because we'll be splitting it, and this is the
Yes.
portion of the two.
Okay.
So when we do that split and we set up the account, we will better
will-
identify
what's what.
what's what in
So
the accounts.
the 1.6 and 4.3 is all of the social service, everything that's in
Yes,
there.
correct.
Pretending. All right, thank you. Moving on to, what's that next one? Thank you, Mr. George. Public Works. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here I don't know, but there's some that just jumped out. The equipment rental again, the 441.
Same thing that we talked about with police.
Yeah, but I mean, it keep on going up. It went from 11,000 to 35,000. So that's a concern there. That's a big jump. So, however, whatever that we need to do there, if we talking about cutting, and especially we talking about the residents paying, we got to make sure that this is kosher because it's a lot. It's a big jump, and I understand the explanation to it. I didn't really see much there because all of them kind of. When we went over it, it kind of aligned. It wasn't a big jump that said anything. Ms. Morgan, when we had our meeting, everything kind of aligned with Public Works. Because again, the bottom line
Went down.
would be there was my biggest question mark was with the CIP, the clean team. So that was, it went down tremendously and I had an explanation for that. and 441 again. So this 441 is it's a concern, and we need to figure out, I guess your explanation was, what is it?
Those are our fleet, our fleet costs citywide. So we can give you a better individual breakdown so you can see what it is, the vehicles and those
Yeah.
costs. But I think it'd probably be better to give it to you on a citywide basis so you can
That's
kind of see.
fine.
Okay.
Because when
'Cause
you
it
look
is an
at,
allocation at
on
the end of
page
the day.
57, if you looking at this budget, the first thing that jumped to you, that's why you can't say without knowing the explanation of these jump that this budget is okay, because last year we were at 1,900 and then the proposed for this is 272, so that's $70,000. That's $270,000 increase.
Page, oh, sorry,
Page-
page 57.
Page 57, 441. That's storm drain, construction and repair equipment rental.
That's just your detail equipment.
270,000.
Overall, the actual.
Page 57.
Good.
Let me-
Whistler's gonna-
Whistler Pierre Lewis Public Works is just the cost for new equipment, maintenance of new equipment.
I know, but, okay, I'm lost. So last year, we didn't have that cost.
Not in that division, no. Well, no. No, you didn't have it. It was a small budget, but what you've been spending the last few years, particularly
Been low.
AT, it was low.
So all of a sudden, this year, we want to buy equipment for 270?
Yes, sir.
Okay, why and what are we buying?
There, we can give you a more detailed list.
Please do
however,
so.
it's-
What'd you say?
Not say please do so. He said he could give me a list.
Okay.
You'll give it to me?
I'll give it to you.
Okay, they'll give it to me. So that I'm okay, because we got to move on. Okay, the other one, so the
Actually, and this will
Mhm.
answer as you go through the remainder of the book. We'll give you that breakdown for all the 441s citywide, so you'll have the
but
detail.
that would be a little bit confusing. I do want it citywide, but I would like for it to be breakdown
Yeah,
per
broken down
department.
Okay, broken down by department,
then-
so you'll have a more of a detail of what.
Okay, because I think that's going to be the biggest, because all of a sudden to just come out and say we're buying stuff for $270,000, not knowing what it is, I got to know what we're buying and what it is. The other one, so the clean team, it went down. Is that a move, or what happened from 157 to 23,000? The last line on page 57.
No.
Through the manager, it's the movement of the clean team to the code department.
Okay. So they are there. That line item was just moved to code. Okay, got it. Thank you. Office of Budget and Management, we didn't have much. The explanation, Ms. Morgan, you gave it to me for the first line item, so that's fine. We'll move forward. Parks and Rec. My concern, it wasn't really major. The first one was, again, the 441 line item. In Parks and Rec, everything kind of looked a little bit decent. But now we are talking about the quality of life of residents. These are folks who are giving services and direct services to the folks. So I don't see that freezing their $53,000 from part-time. That I know there's a lot of part-time, but 53,000 is a dent in when we looked at that. My concern with this particular, I guess, budget, and I mentioned it to you, Mr. Manager, is what do we do at these community centers who are not serving the community? They close throughout the day, or someone not there. And in the past, and Mr. Sorry, you would know this very well, we had a Rec 2 that would be at these stations. And I believe Keystone is the only place that we do have a Rec 2. I don't know if what's her, if she's a Rec 2, whatever the case is. The other ones we don't, and JCC, I believe. Because I know Annalise was at, right?
Right.
You have someone permanent there, I'm assuming.
Joe Sellers
Yes.
Center?
Mhm.
Yes, there's a permanent.
So
there's a
you
permanent
have
person.
the other ones, I don't know, Griffin, I don't think have anyone yet.
There's not a I'm sorry,
Mhm.
through the manager, Derek Walker, Parks and Recreation. There's not a full-timer at Griffin at the moment.
Okay, that's the problem. I know, I know. So Griffin, Sunkist Grove.
Sunkist has
So
a
with all these people, Mr. Manager, you gotta find, to put people there.
So you and I had a conversation when
Mhm.
we talked, and I'm working with the Parks Director to look at that operational plan that you and I
Because
discussed.
when we talk about, because looking at this budget, there's nothing in here for the residents, and we asking them to pay more. So that's my biggest concern. So if the community centers are not open, or they don't have access to them, that's a concern to me. I went there for a meeting. It's 8:00 somewhere. I went there for a meeting in the middle of the day, and it wasn't open. Because the person there is a driver, so we cannot have that because that's not serving the community. You had kids out, you have after school. So those are the little things that we can't be, hurting the residents and then everything else looking all good. So that's not too good there. But other than that, I was kind of surprised. We don't have gymnastic anymore. So why do we have, I don't think we do, why do we have an operation for gymnastic? The gymnasium, I guess that's gymnasium.
page?
Is that the page 56? Is that the one in off North Miami across?
The gymnasium?
Yeah, the
We don't have
gymnasium.
gymnastics, that's correct,
That-
sir. We do have two
the gymnasium.
gymnasiums, which
Is that the one by North Miami?
Cagney,
Okay.
Cagney Gymnasium, and also Joe Celestine Gymnasium.
Okay, and that's just the keep up of those. The keep up of those are 43.
Correct. Maintenance is
The maintenance.
most of our facilities, if not probably half of them, are about 40 years old or close to our 40-year
Okay.
recertification. So it is the operations of maintenance for those buildings and upkeep of those facilities.
While I have you here, Mr. Corker, quick question: why did we went down on athletics?
There has been a decrease in services for some of the athletic programs. We don't have as many athletic programs as we could, or that we offer at the current moment.
Okay. Sasso Pool operation. I don't even know if that. So that went down. Why?
We had to cut the budget a little, so.
So what did we cut?
On some of the operations, hours of operations for the pool.
Okay,
So
that's
we're
not going to
reducing some of
happen.
the
Thank you,
hours.
sir. Mr. Manager, that's another concern. We cannot be looking at the budget where we are impacting residents. So if we are cutting the pool, we only have one swimming pool in this whole city, which is already bad enough. So that's why I can't wait, Mr. Mayor, for the new pool to go up. We're cutting hours there. The recreation is cutting hours. Your budget was the one that I was looking at to be beefing up the thing, because that and police. Because those two departments are because we don't have the social service up and running yet, that's actually touching the people, the residents. So the fact that we are cutting from these, it's a really, really concern. We need to find out other source in this budget to cut. We cannot, first of all, it's adequate the way it was. We needed more adding to it. So we got to do something there. So that's just my little concern there. The same thing, the tennis went down $10,000. So those are not programs when we are cutting that we should be cutting. The Griffin Center, again, $67,000 less. So that's a problem, because the Sunkist Grove, I know I know somebody really didn't do too, because it went from 80,000 to 35. Now y'all know that y'all wrong for that. I mean, I didn't know if y'all think I wasn't gonna see that, but page 68. So how do you go down on 101? So is that one person that they had or an additional person? And that's what I'm talking about when I said the place is closed, because these are the people that's essential to the public. At least they open the place. They ain't got to do nothing, but they open it. Somebody could go, the homeowners or somebody could go and have a meeting, or the kids could go after school there. But if y'all cutting on those people,
Well, I'm looking at Sunkist. Yeah, we have a decrease in one full-timer, but we do have increased hours actual to the budget for outside wages. So that's part.
No. Page 68,
Yeah, I'm looking at
101.
68.
101.
Yeah, that's no. No, that's what I'm saying. There is a cut of a part-time. I agree with you.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm saying. So we got to fix. I thought we were saying it wasn't. So we got to fix that. So that's another concern. Griffin again, the same thing from 218 to 191. I don't think that should be the same thing. Keystone is not too much of a cut, but it's still a decrease. So we should not be cutting these centers because that's the only place people go to. People don't even want to come to City Hall. So if we cutting their stuff, then we really trying to send them the wrong message to the residents. So park operation again, 85. Okay, that's fine. This is going down. Vehicle maintenance, that's down. Vehicle maintenance, that's fine. See, vehicle maintenance went. The stadium operation went down again. So I'm not too thrilled. Vehicle maintenance from 49 to 94. I guess that's the total that you'll be getting me, Mr. Manager. I'm almost done, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. DeSome?
You have
Yes.
plenty of time.
Yes.
While we have Mr. Corker here, can I
Yes,
ask for two
absolutely.
line
Please,
items
go
while
on.
you're here? Just save some time. Why did equipment rental go from, like, actual of 8,400 or to 48,000? What are we renting?
Which line? I'm sorry, Councilman. I'm sorry, Councilman.
Equipment rent on page 62.
441, that's the 441 account.
Operational of multiple equipment. Sometime, again, as I said, the buildings are a little older in tooth. We have to keep maintenance on those facilities as best as we can. We have a lot of work orders for the facilities. So at times we don't own the equipment. We need to rent the equipment to make sure that we can keep the buildings up and running.
So that went up. What happened to outside wages at Penny Sugarman Tennis Center? Outside wages went from 350 to 5,200.
Penny Sugarman?
301, line 67, outside wages.
I mentioned that,
You mentioned it went down, but I'm looking at it's like
0.
301s.
what page?
Yeah, that's a revenue.
That's a change in how we show the expenses.
So, okay, so the outside
It's
wages.
being offset by the revenue.
But this is just an expense line.
Correct. In the past, it was all operated from the tennis pros. Even the tennis pros were getting paid out of the 301
see.
account. We have moved the 301, the tennis pros to their own separate account.
see. Okay,
where
thank you.
Now you only have the 301s, which is the part-time employees.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you, Councilman.
No problem, Vice Mayor. So right-of-way operation again. So it went down almost 200,000. Is that the transfer of a department, of some folks, Mr. Manager, or somebody?
What page is this?
This is, I'm sorry, page 73. It's got Enchanted Farms.
The tree right, is that, I'm sorry, Councilman.
yes,
Is that
sir.
the tree maintenance, the tree right of ways? Yes, that's the services that is transferred to Public Works.
Got it.
Which was the tree maintenance.
Got it. My biggest concern with this is, Enchanted Forest went down tremendously. From 229 to 165, so what is that? Is that a cut of a part-time or somebody or a operation? What happened?
It's a freeze of one of the full-time employees, which was the additional park naturalist.
Yeah, see, we don't need to be freezing those positions. Those are not, I mean, if you ask me, I might have some, but those are not the position that we need to be freezing, a park naturalist who does, yeah, those are not that we have in mind. Okay.
Mr. DeSolme, through the mayor and you to Mr. Corker, will you still have Ms. Heasley as the park naturalist?
Yes, Councilman Galvin, we do have Mrs. Heasley. We did advertise for the park naturalist. We didn't get a vast amount of applicants at the time, and once we surveyed the applicants, there were none that were suited for what we were looking for.
So if you freeze it right now, what's your plan to address that moving forward? Will you re-advertise in 6 months, or?
We would like to, sir. We would like to do a national search. We can go on the NRPA, which is the National Parks and Recreation Association. That would give us a broader scale for more participants to look at the job application and apply for the park naturalist. Again, the naturalist is a specialization type of position. It's not like a regular
It's not a park
recreation.
attendant.
Yeah, it's not like a park attendant. So
Right.
there's specializations that you need to have with the park naturalist.
And if we've frozen this position now and in 6 months you find somebody spectacular, operationally, how do you handle that? Do you come back and ask us to unfreeze it, or? Okay.
But Councilman Galvin, I think this is their proposal to us, so I don't think we could accept it or making it, because my recommendation is that's not one that we do freeze. I don't think any of these positions with parks that we do freeze. Now, however the mayor would want to do that, we could give that, you know, it's up to us, because this is his proposed budget to us. So I really don't think that's the Parks and Rec, the essential thing to the resident that we need to freeze when we talk about freezing anything. There's a lot I would like to freeze, but it's not here. Non-departmental, it's a little bit, we talked about it, Mr. Manager, because a lot of things that we don't see line items is kind of crammed up in non-departmental, because that's where you could, I don't want to use the word, I'm not going to use that word, but that's where you put a lot of stuff. I don't want to put it. But my concern is that I just need an overall, I don't want to go line by line, because we already did that. I'm not sure, because it's one page, and I believe it's probably more, but it's almost $3 million from last year. So what is that offset?
All of that is, sorry, sir, all of that is related to us adding back to the reserve.
Okay, okay. So I know it's complicated. MOCA don't really have anything.
Can I ask
So,
a question?
yes, sir.
What did you say you did with the $3 million?
He said it's the reserve.
The difference is associated with us adding back to the reserve. Remember, in prior years, we'd have a funding source to deal with this. Now we're having to budget for it.
So
The
Where were
reserve-
the
the reserve
funding?
amounts.
Where were the funding source?
We'd have the surplus that we roll over from the prior year.
All right, thank you, sir. MOCA, the only thing is, and I think I had a good explanation for it, was the increase. Is that the COLA? Because it's not a big of an increase. Is that what it is, Ms. Morgan? Is it the COLA for them?
Yes, yes, from the 128 to the 135.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
COLAs and merits.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Wait, there is, so there's almost a $200,000 increase. Why is that?
Shauna Sheldon, MOCA Director, through the manager. That is for program grants that support the critical exhibitions that we are doing and the support that we need to make that happen.
Okay, so again, that's something directly you could tie in with the public. So that, I guess that would be under line item 3, well, I guess that's a transfer, no, that's not a transfer. Is it? Okay.
Under specialized services, it says MOCA program grants. And you see it was 964,
It's
and
one
it's
something.
one something now.
No problem. Building and zoning, I guess building by itself. 101. So the 50, it's not 50, but approximately 50 in 101 on page 83. Is that COLA again?
745 and 794?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. 745 to 794.
COLAs and merits.
In merits. Okay, advertising, 10,000. Why, what is that?
That's dealing, Steve Bizzle, building director through the manager, that is dealing with our floodplain. That's-
What?
We're advertising for floodplain.
Okay, so we didn't do that this year? We didn't advertise this year?
It was in other departments, now it's in my department.
Oh, okay. All right, got it. Training, I guess that's regular training. So is that the same thing, the board and commission? I know I asked you about that. You said,
Unsafe Structures Board.
okay, but do the other boards get similar amount? Operating costs from different
From different departments, whoever the
departments.
liaison
Okay.
department is.
I got it. Okay, so a total of the 203. Where is that coming from? The 203. The difference from last year to this year. The bulk of that is what is that? The difference. I'm on page 84.
The main increase is
Outside
additional personnel, and let me explain to you why. Every year, we're audited by two organizations, ISO and CRS, and one of the things they do is they look at the workload that my inspectors do, my licensed individuals do. If it goes over a certain level, our rating goes down, and the insurance, property insurance and flood insurance for the community goes up.
Oh Lord.
And right now, we're on a critical where we're starting to go over the limit.
This is, and you recall last year, we were able to, remember we had to appeal and go through a process. I think we informed you through that process, we were able to maintain, we were hit by 5%, but we were able to maintain our flood insurance for our citizens, the discount, excuse me, the flood insurance discount.
Let
for
me
our
ask
citizens.
this. When we had cap government, how did that play with the operational?
That in
Qua-
particular?
Well, not that particular in terms, but overall with the department.
Last year, there was an operating savings of about 1.45 million.
Oh, okay, really, from the year
The
before
difference.
to now? Okay, because that's
Can I
always
say
been-
something?
Yes.
Not clap yet.
Yes.
Before, when we had, now if people are waiting 3
Oh,
to
yeah.
4 months in order
That
to
was-
get an inspection.
They were waiting with them also.
I understand, but now it's more. For example, if you have an electrician, they only have one electrician. If the guy doesn't come for 1 week, that means there is no inspection for that week. There's a lot of issues at that department. If you guys keep clapping, man, you're gonna have a lot of problem. We have one plumber. If the plumber is on vacation, there is no inspection. Businesses, people from realtors and are calling left and right. They have to wait for 4-5 months in order to get an inspection done. And someone is sick and there is no inspection. They have one person. That means it's worse now than before.
I would favor expanding that department and
Yes.
adding more money for more people, but
I
not
understand that.
privatizing.
We're not talking about privatizing,
No.
but when you say they're doing better now than before, I don't agree with
Yeah,
you guys.
whichever, Councilman Galvin, and I agree, however, the mayor is correct because I have had some discussion, and Mr. Pizzillo, I guess it's an overall more service because you do hear from these folks, and I could give you some specifically, not here tonight. Tomorrow I'll tell you about two that I could, their concerns, and it's just a longer time, but that's basically that. Thank you so much, sir. Code 85, code compliance, code
Can
enforcement.
I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Before I go further, can I ask you a question about the building department? Right now, from what I understand, you have only one electrician, one plumber, and how many do you have?
We have two, we currently have a electrical chief and a electrical inspector.
You have to, mm-hmm.
Plumbing, we have an individual on call. We have a plumbing chief and an on-call. The only service that we have where we're down to one individual is mechanical.
Okay, where all those complaints are coming from? People calling stated that they have to wait sometime 3 months before they can get an inspection done.
Inspections are done next day, next business day.
What do you mean next week?
I've never heard where 3 months for an inspection. We sometimes do inspections same day. When people call up and they have a problem, we go out there and do same day inspections.
Unless you're doing it with favoritism, that's when people who have connection to the building department can get it done the next day. But I have other people calling and said that they have to wait weeks before they can get an inspection. Sometimes they call, they said they're coming tomorrow, and then the next day, and we call them and said, no, the person is on vacation or the person is sick, we don't have another person to go out and do the job.
In rare occasions, if an inspector does call in sick, sometimes we can't get an on-call person on, but that's limited to two specialties.
Okay, right. Okay, next time I ask the mayor and council that we record all the people that call in about those inspection and
Mr. Mayor,
a lot of people are calling, especially we have realtors, we have contractors calling and complaining about inspection they cannot get done. Yes.
I was going to say, this to me sounds like a constituent case management problem or situation. We often get legitimate complaints, then sometimes we get residents who are complaining, but their contractor actually never scheduled the appointment and blamed it on the city, so the resident is mad at the city when they should be mad at their contractor. But I think in every department, when a mayor or council member sends in a request, whether it's email, phone, but somebody needs to hop on that immediately, because when it's just left to linger, then the resident gets more and more angry and we hear more and more stuff. So this is certainly not, your department actually is pretty good with me. I won't name the couple of departments that are bad, but I think...
but understand, when you call, they're good with me, but I'm talking about the resident that call and the contractor that just go to the department and ask for an inspection. Another problem they say they have, Mr. Director, it's look like when they say they want to talk to you, like a resident or a contractor, they cannot get access to you unless the regular person cannot get access to the building director. And please, can you be open to everyone?
I hand out my cell phone number out, and actually you can.
Yeah.
Councilman
Okay.
Deslamay has I
Yes.
told him to
No,
give
I'm
out
not
my
talking
cell
about
phone.
councilman. I'm talking about the
No,
regular citizen.
Told him to give my cell phone to his constituents.
Okay, okay.
And I do answer that phone.
Making sure
Yeah.
every resident have access to you when they want to talk
and
to you, please.
every person in your department and in the other departments should be more responsive to a resident who calls in, and they're their boss, they're paying their salary, treat them like that. And I mean that through the manager to every department. Too often I hear of unfriendly staff people didn't give good information, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. It's Dukes, yeah. No, but genuinely, I think that would, rather than spend more money for more staff, which may be warranted in this situation, it also could be addressed if the existing staff members jumped on complaints.
And out of fairness to Mr. Pizzillo, I have given residents, and he has been to their house. He's very good at that. I do have the same concerns, though, which I've shared with other big business, not the regular homeowner. The regular homeowner, I give them to bug you, but some of them, they just send emails. So I guess that's something that we got to do overall better at, because I did say, I see cell phone allowance for everyone, the departments and the directors. And I said this to you, Mr. Manager, you are one of the people that everybody have your cell phone, because that's what we pay you for. If a director does not want a resident to call them, then they don't need to have a cell phone allowance. That's just that, or they don't need to have the cell phone, because this is not a private entity. This is a public, we at the rate of the residents. I think we need to know that they are our boss, and we need to keep that in mind. Thank you, Mr. Pizzillo.
I don't have a cell phone allowance.
Oh, well, you need to get one. No, definitely, because I've given it out to so many different people. So no, that we need to definitely look into. Code enforcement. It kind of look okay. It's a little change. I guess it's the different departments that the different people that's been going into code enforcement. From my understanding, the transfer.
You have a couple things. The biggest change is the issue of sanitation now being monitored by Mr. Laura Fields. So that increase in costs associated with our contract and the clean team that's also in there.
Okay, and I want to go by just to make sure. So, account 311, the consulting that.
Yeah, in sanitation
that's
services.
60,000 more. What is that?
Wait, which division are you in, sir?
I am on code enforcement, 85, page 85.
think that's your
Account
special
3. Is that what that is?
No, sir. Crystal Cordo, code manager. That is for lot maintenance, special assessments.
Wait, a what?
Special assessments.
You know how, and you've had some of these where somebody has an overgrown lot, will get
Yes.
a call. That's
why I'm shocked when she said that we have money, because I have one right now, and I told you about it, Arthur, on 132nd and 9th Avenue. If these people call me one time, it's horrible. And you know what I'm talking about, Miss Cordo, right by Nancy's house. It's crazy. There's always a crazy truck, and now they got people put mattresses and stuff on there, and that's like right in the middle of two homes. So we got to look out for that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. The other one is the outside wages, the 156.
That's the clean team, sir.
Which I understand, but we just need to, because it says outside wages, so it doesn't say clean team. So somebody looking at that, they would not. Thank you. They would not know exactly what that is.
number are you?
Page 86, Mr. Mayor, on 301. It says outside wages. And then this equipment thing. So that's the cleaning team that they
just a
had.
quick beef. I don't want to miss that. The calculation is based on a 20
29 hours.
Okay.
29 hours.
Okay, we really want to find a way to increase that. To keep it at 29 hours. And
It is 29, right?
no, it's 20. It's budgeted
29.
29.
It's 29 hours?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, not 20 hours. You sure?
No, I asked them.
It's 20 hours or
29.
29 hours?
I believe it is 20 hours.
It's
based on
20
the
hours.
calculations
sorry?
that we have. I believe it is 20 hours.
20 hours.
20?
Okay. I'm telling you.
I
Okay.
believe it was reduced.
Wait a minute.
Okay, we're gonna fix it at 29 hours. It's 20 hours in the budget
it's
now.
20 or
In the proposed budget.
I apologize. That
It is
Okay.
20?
it is 20.
Okay, consider it
Okay.
29 hours.
I'm
We're
glad
gonna, we have to.
I'm glad you brought that up. Okay.
Can-
The other one, so there, I guess the transfer kind of cost, because I'm almost done throughout the entire budget. Library, page 87. My biggest concern, is Miss Lucia here? I know she was here. Hey, how are you? Good evening, ma'am. My biggest concern is we're not getting much support from there. Again, 631, the books. And I understand the explanation for that, but I cannot let this injustice go by, because one thing, I know the ratio of per thing capital that we're supposed to get is approximately 3.7, and I think like one under. So we way below the number of people technically we think who live in the city based on the books that we have. So I don't know how we've been, I remember one year, Ms. Brown, is she still here? We fought for more books, but this year it kind of trickled down and went down. I do understand new technology, but you cannot put the importance of the actual kids, because a lot of these kids don't even have internet at home. So I would like to see more increase in the books, the new books, in this budget. The 631. Besides the 631, with the library, that's my only thing. Anything else you need, Ms.
Where you
Lucia? I'm on page 88.
Okay.
Are we good? We good?
Yes, we're good, sir.
Okay, we need more books. Thank you. We got.
I'm looking at you.
I know. No. I know. I'm asking for more books.
Very
So
quick question. Do we need more e-books or more books, actually, or more
Books.
computers?
Lucia Gonzalez, Library Director, Mr. Mayor, Council. The library has developed its digital collection as well as its print collection. In our print collection, we have emphasized digital because we never had one 3 years and before, and then we started growing our digital collection. We have come a long ways from not having a book budget since 2008 and then regaining a book budget in 2013, and that is why we're so low in our printed collection. There was a big gap of time in which there were no books purchased for the library. The collection ages, and we have to weed. Weeding is a process of pulling books out that are obsolete, especially in business technology and all that. They should not be more older than 5 years because then our patrons get the incorrect information. So there was a loss in that sense, not a growth of the collection, and that's why we are at less than 1.3 books per capita, way
1.3.
below than any standards.
So it's half of where we should be.
The average in the state is 3.5.
That's what I'm saying.
The
So we
expected
have-
average by American Library Association is 4.5 per capita.
Jesus.
But that is the reason why there's a history.
So
of
how much
that
would we
there.
need to get up to speed, just in your explanation?
Yeah, in our collection development, especially of the printed collection, it takes, we have to have a plan for replacement of classics and regular books that are expected to be in support of the school curriculums and so on, as well as popular reading. And our current budget for the print material is half of the 50,000, which, because the other goes for subscriptions like magazines and electronic subscriptions and ebooks.
So give us a number.
If I would give you a number for the printed collection, I would say 45,000 for printed books.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that means that we got to look at how do we increase that, or at least trying to double that. Thank you, ma'am. Purchasing, and I think that's my last department. Is that the last one?
Yes, sir.
Why are you shaking your head like that, Arthur? This is like, thank God. Purchasing, surprisingly, they went down. So the only biggest thing is the increase in the conference travel and that. What's that explanation?
For the record, Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director. I believe that there was really a very nominal increase for the conference.
No, it is. I'm not complaining. I just wanted an explanation because it doubled. I mean, it could be $1, but if it went to $2, I just wanted to know why. That's all. I'm not complaining because yours, out of most of them, tremendously went down overall. So I'm not looking at most of them. It's just that one, and it's not really that serious to me, that Mr. Estrada. So I'm fine. Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, and my colleagues on here. My thing again, when we overall going through this budget, I know where the deficit is and what we need to do, but at the same time, and I'm not talking about shifting people, but we are increasing staff. And that's a concern to me because it does not equal, when you talk to the people on the street, it does not really, we have an organization of almost 400 or 500 people, however, not counting the police department. I think we need to put the residents first, and this budget does not reflect that, so that's why I'm opposed to charging them anything. That's number one. So the red light camera is totally off. Y'all need to find ways on charging, y'all pay for however we've been doing for the water, this garbage thing, which is horrible. Waste Pro, these residents should not be paying nothing. So we need to find ways, Mr. Manager, on my recommendation, not on the backs of these residents, because they really ain't got nothing in here, and increasing in their property are coming to us. So we need to look at not adding 10, 15, whatever the amount of people in per se, we need to really, really scale back and look at what we need to do to really address the residents' concern and basically that to balance the budget. Because if you had 3 million, and this is just my proposal, 3 million with these 3 line items in the COLA, that's why I say, Ms. Meir and yourself and I have to understand, because I really, really don't understand, and I don't know nothing about, what is it, the workman's comp, the whatever that line item is, the pension, that it went up in every different department. I'm not talking about the COLA, which, you know which one, which line item? The risk, yeah, whichever, if you look at that, I think that right there, that's a big thing, but there's nothing we could do about that.
Right.
However, it does have to say something with the, where we need to cut. I think where we need to add is departments that give services directly to the residents. And I'm not really too happy, so I don't know how we're gonna do or what we're gonna do, but those are my overall concern. Those 3 line items that we find a way of incurring it. And if you want to keep it, that's up to you, but it's I don't think the residents should be doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You done?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And we're going to start all over again from page 1. I'm just joking. Good evening, everyone. Thank you again, Mr. Manager. Thank you for the Budget Department. Thank you for all the people that I've met that answered my questions. I won't go over a lot of, I share some sentiments of my colleagues, but my major opposition is to the red light camera. I am definitely not in favor of balancing our budget with the red light cameras. I just want to put that on the record, and that's all I have to say on that.
You done? Carol, you said you have a few questions, other questions. Are you?
No, just, I had one thing I left out was CP&D, which I want to get some clarification. We passed a resolution, for the CBDG, and the administration is really 29 instead of 20%, and the manager explained that may include some from money or expenses from other departments. So, okay, so on the CBDG, we passed a resolution. You've got the same number, but the administration was 141, and now it's, the total administration looks to be close to 227,000. So the administration is 29%, not 20%.
We'll get back to you on that, Councilwoman Lang.
So
Because we want to relook at the calculation, make sure those other revenues aren't.
You're talking to me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I couldn't.
You talking
Okay,
to
that's
me?
what I'm saying. I said, you talking to me? So I looked at it, I saw it, and I just wanted to make sure, because there's like an extra 9% of administration, so where those expenses are coming from.
We'll get back to you.
No, the non-departmental items, there's a lot of, the grants, et cetera, there's a lot of question the way they were advertised. I know you've given me a breakdown which looks okay, but I'd like to see the next budget where I'm through, thank you. Sorry. Where it shows exactly what those are. We don't have for those who are wondering, we do not have a North Miami Scholarship Pageant. So, things were a little, that was a $95,000 item. We haven't had one of those for about 12 years.
She's saying we should not have named it that in the
That's
line
the account
item.
number. No, but I was gonna say, I
That's a
thought we already
non-departmental.
provided you with the detail, but we'll send it.
No, you've told me,
Okay.
but we've got a lot of residents still thinking that we have a $95,000 scholarship pageant. And things were combined, so I'd like to put them back in the line item so it's perfectly clear what the grants are on that. And we haven't,
You
that's,
You
that I
done?
want to, then we talk about events, I guess, when we're ready to
You can
talk
go
about
ahead.
events.
If you want.
I'd like to lower them to $400,000.
Okay. You done, Scott?
I'm done. I'm waiting on you, Mr. Mayor. And
Mr. City Manager, my first question, who prepared the budget?
The budget office prepared the budget in working with the manager.
Okay, that's when you and the manager prepared the budget.
Yes.
Okay. And you have to send it to the state, right?
We
After
have,
approval.
yeah, we have to send it after the second approval at the next meeting.
Who's going to sign it? When we have to send the budget to the state?
No.
Who's gonna, we don't sign the budget, which,
It's an electronic signature that the budget
I-
office does. It's
I
an
don't think
electronic-
you on rec,
so we
It's an electronic signature. so-
wait,
It's an electronic signature that, that goes in, that's the, basically it's a certification that the budget office is certifying it, that they have, you know, the approval. We have to send your vote on the budget and everything to the state. So the budget office goes in, fills out the E-Trim forms. It's, basically state regulated forms that we have to fill out once the budget's complete. We'll then send in the vote, and we'll send in the verbatim minutes of you guys, taking the vote. We have to send in verbatim minutes, and that's the process. Advertisements from the newspaper that we put in, it's a whole package that we have to put together and then send to the state.
okay. And, for 2018, deficit was $8.1 million, right? On the budget standpoint.
The deficit, the deficit you're referring to is our actual deficit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much was it?
It's a little, I think it was 8.3 million.
Yeah,
right?
it's an accumulated deficit.
Okay. For this year, do you anticipate any deficit?
We are looking at a deficit, but we're working with finance and budget right now to see where we're going to close the year. There are some accrual entries and things that we do at the end of the year that will make up that potentially make up that gap. So we're working on that right now as we speak.
So far, what is your projection?
Right now, I'm looking at a number that may be a couple $1 million right now.
How much?
I
When you
don't
say
have-
couple.
like $2 million.
instead of $8 million.
That's been for
Well,
this year.
this year,
For this year
operating,
deficit,
gotcha.
we're talking about a
Right.
$2 million deficit. That means it will be a total of about $10.1 million, right? From the actual.
Well, no, I'm not going to put that on the record. I'm still working on the numbers. So, if you'd like for us to give you a forecast, we'll work on.
If
one
I
and provide it.
understand, you anticipate
The
another
math, yeah,
deficit.
yeah. If
right?
we have the deficit.
Okay. That's mean 8.1 plus whatever is going to be this year. That's mean we are going to add to the deficit. And this budget, what did you do differently that in order to eliminate that deficit for this year from the previous budget, Ms. Brown?
In previous years, we've budgeted carryover, and this budget includes no carryover.
You think that's what was one of the reasons we had that deficit year and year after?
Well, no, it's for a number of reasons. I personally.
Can you speak on the mic so people can?
It's for a number of reasons, but I personally can't address that because I was not here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now can you say that on record that you were able to fix that, and we won't have that anymore?
What I'm saying is that based on the way we prepared the budget, there is, in all likelihood, for 2020, we will not have a deficit.
Okay, for 2020, we won't have that.
Correct, but that depends on all of us.
If all the revenue are accurate.
That depends on all of us working together to stay within the budget.
Okay, and also if you collect 100% of the projection when it comes to revenue, right?
Yeah, and I mean, again, a budget is an estimate.
I understand.
And, you know, you're gonna, in some instances where we project that we're gonna have less money, we bring in more.
Okay.
So, but, as I stated, if we stay within the budget, in all likelihood, we will not have a deficit.
Thank you
But
very
if
much.
we do just the opposite,
Let me ask you a question. When they send you an invoice, right, and you realize that there is no budget for that money, what will you do?
I won't process it.
Okay.
But however, if it's an invoice, I mean, I think that.
Not
it's-
an invoice, a request.
Okay,
for
yeah, because if
disbursement.
it's an invoice and we've already incurred the cost, then we
okay,
don't
yeah.
have a choice but to pay it.
Okay.
But, I would recommend that, you know, before, if they're, that the requests be, reviewed by the manager and approved accordingly. So that, and, I mean, if there's, if the money is not there, then I don't believe the request should be approved.
If I understand in your budget presentation or in your budget book, you budgeted $1.4 million new revenue from the red light camera, right?
1.1 million.
1.1. Without that, we won't be able to balance our budget.
No, we'll be out of balance by $1.1 million.
$1.1 million.
So
Okay.
we'll have to
We-
find things.
That's
to
the first thing, 1.1 million. Secondly, in order for us to balance the budget, right, you propose that we sell a portion of land. Without that, we won't be able to balance our budget. Is that correct?
No, well, we're going to sell the land. Okay.
Who's
and-
we?
and
Who's going to sell it?
The city.
Do you have an offer already?
Repeat that, sir.
In order for you to balance the budget, you anticipate a $2.6 million from the sale
Mhm.
of a piece of land.
That's correct.
What piece of land are we talking
That would be,
about?
we're referring to the 20 acres that the Olita partners have exercised their option to purchase. It was, this council approved it back in I think it was 2015, maybe?
2015.
2015.
I was there. Okay. Okay. That's been,
I'm just answering.
Yeah, but you said you anticipate that we are going to sell. You don't know if we're going to sell.
According to our contract, it's not a question
Which
of whether
contract?
the contract the city executed with Olita partners.
As of right now, and Olita partner or Solemia or whatever it is haven't come before the city and said, I want to buy and give us a plan on that they are going to close by this year. That's when we don't know yet. It's negotiation.
The 20, yeah.
There's no, not you. We're gonna come there. We're gonna get there. Don't. We're not talking about the legal point. We're not. That's not what we are talking about.
Okay.
Because it's an option. They can come before you and say, listen. They can come and say they wanna buy 5 now, or they wanna buy 10, or they wanna buy 12.
No, they have exercised an option to buy 20. Period.
Okay, we don't have it yet. We don't know
Yes,
when
yes.
it's going to happen.
No,
Yes, we do. They've
exercised the option.
exercised the option. They've sent us 2 letters saying they want to purchase the property. They're exercising the option in the agreement. The only thing they're waiting for is for us to coordinate the closing. I mean, we've had a conversation with them maybe a month ago about the closing.
Okay, that's mean you said we're going to close this year.
They're just waiting on us, sir.
Okay, that means in order for us to balance our budget, we are waiting for that money.
That is correct. That's or a portion, I shouldn't say all, a portion of that money is included as
What
one-time
about
revenue.
the rest of the money? Where we got all those transactions?
So the rest of the money would remain unallocated to follow, to get direction from the council on how you would like to proceed with
But
those
what
funds.
why did you take $2.6 million from that?
Well,
money?
based on the process we went to get to a balanced budget, and the constraints and things that we had, that was one of the assumptions that we relied on and are utilizing. That 2.6 is going as a direct offset to the 6.4 million in reserve that's in this budget.
What you mean? What do you mean?
So that one-time revenue, we have it allocated towards.
In order to present a budget, you have to show at least $5 million in reserve. You said another, that means if we didn't have that, you still will have to bring me a budget with $5 million in reserve.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's when you use that 2.6. On top of that, you're using the permit fee from the University of Miami, right?
And other development.
In the
yeah,
budget.
yeah.
But,
Not just University of Miami, but all other development as well.
in your presentation, it was increased by 44%, and you said it's because of that permit that's going to add another $1 million to the. That's why you use it.
It wasn't a reference to just one permit. That name was stated, but it's not just that one permit. But
In
yes,
permit fee, the budget, the revenue was increased by 44%.
absolutely, yes.
Which is, that's the first year you're going to have a 44% increase versus the 5 years, the past 5 years.
Okay.
Based on what did you make that determination?
The budget department worked with the department on developing that number. So you can, if you want us, we can provide you, I guess, more detailed calculations if you would like to see it.
If you ask me for, I just don't want to go yet in details, because from what I understand, I don't see a balanced budget. First of all, you have, you add $1.1 million for the red light camera, and I don't see where the vote is coming. That's mean you're $1.1 million behind, and $2.6 million for the selling of those 20 acres, and I don't see how we're gonna add it to the budget just for us to have a balanced budget. That's when we almost $4 million from having a balanced budget for this year, and we don't know about the deficit for this year. That's when we almost $6-7 million apart in the budget. Am I correct or no?
Actually, sir, you know, obviously, when we present, a budget to this council, we work as a collective group to present a set of assumptions for you to do what you're doing right now, have a discussion and a debate on. I understand that some of the things, not everything that's in here is something that you all support. Some, even amongst yourselves, one might like it, the other one does not. That's part of the process that we've been going through my last 4 years here. So it's just part of the process. What we look for right now is for you to say, and I've heard already, this particular revenue is a non-starter. I don't particularly like this other one. So we take that feedback and we go work. There are assumptions in there, like I said, that I feel more comfortable with, particularly the sale of the land, because it's already been legally exercised. We already know what the price is, and we've had discussion with the buyer to say the number, tell me when you want to close and we'll close. True, we do need to go and work through the numbers that you don't like and increases and adjustments here and there. And we'll go do that work and work with each of you to get to that point, and we'll get there. However, and I need to be careful about this when you state this on the record, what you have in front of you is a statutorily balanced budget. We are required to present you with that, and that is what we've done. Now we are having debate on which assumptions you would like to modify, but we will return to you with, again, a statutorily balanced budget.
Another question. Let's see, you realize that at the end of the fiscal year, there is a $2 million deficit for this year. But for this year, how is going to affect the budget?
Unlike in prior years, where we actually budget to use the surplus, and thus what happened this past year, we would have a detrimental impact. In this year, we actually did the budget not anticipating any support from the reserve. So what you have basically is a balanced budget in a vacuum. Nothing's going to affect, nothing that happens the remainder of this year will affect that number, the budget number next year.
Excellent. That's when instead of having $6.4 million reserve, you're going to have maybe 4.1.
No, remember what you have. I budgeted to add 6.4 to our reserve. That money is unallocated in the budget. So we would still have to operate for the completion of next fiscal year. And as the budget director stated, if we operate in that budget, the revenues come in as anticipated, at the end of that year, we would basically, after we close the books and do all that stuff, we should have $6.4 million left over that will then go as a credit against the current general fund GASB deficit of $8.3 million. Thus taking the steps we need to kind of reduce that number. Again, as directed by you guys in our retreats and our discussions.
I think before we move and ask to add or remove everything in the budget, reallocation of money, I think we should vote on those two policies. First of all is the red light camera. We have to vote if we want to use it to balance our budget, and secondly, the sale of the land at Solemia in order to balance the budget. And after that, we can move forward and see exactly what we want to change in the budget.
So, Mr. Mayor, just to get you correctly, you would like for us to vote on each of those line items, you are saying?
Those two, because they use the red light camera. If we don't have a vote, that means we won't have the red light camera.
Mhm.
That's when they're going to have to change the
Do
budget.
we need to
and
vote, or
I was gonna say,
you just
give me a
vote?
direction.
Oh, you wanted a vote? Okay. You wanted a vote. You wanted
it's
a
a lot of money. It's $4 million.
Okay.
It's not just.
Well, if you will allow me, Mr. Mayor, in the past, what you've done as a board, in the first hearing, you guys give me the direction. So if you say here and say collectively, do not use the red light camera as a revenue assumption.
No, at least at that point we know exactly the revenue. If we remove $4 million, I expect that you bring another budget of $69 million instead of just do things around. That's the way I would like to see it.
If I may, Mr. Mayor. Oh, go ahead, Councilwoman.
I have a question in terms of the sale of the land. So Solemia has an option, is exercising their option to buy. Is that a fixed price? Is that?
Yes, the 20 is fixed. It's a fixed
so
price.
we couldn't ask for an increase on that.
For the 20 acres, it's done. It's for the 20 acres, 20.4. Whatever it is, at 400,000 an acre, it was based on a previous appraisal. That's been the only concern about those 20 acres is when they are going to close. But for that part,
if I may, Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I guess the manager, the deputy, are you in agreement with the manager, the budget director, as well as the attorney? I'm assuming on record they have stated that they feel professionally comfortable that the 2.6 they're waiting on us, I'm assuming.
Actually,
yeah.
All very due respect, sir.
Yes.
I don't even have to wait on you. We can close.
Got it.
I can
Okay.
call them tomorrow and say, we're going to close.
I got it. So
Okay.
with that, Mr. Mayor,
what
on
do you
record.
mean you don't have to wait? What are you trying?
You've already
They said they already gave it to
legislatively
them.
approved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say, Mr. Mayor, just a little friendly amendment. They have
I
given
didn't
me.
put an
No, I know, but you saying you made a
Okay, go
reference.
ahead.
I'm just saying. I feel, and I know where you're coming from because I don't want to be in the same situation, but I feel almost 100% in regards to the selling of the land. My issue is not that. I'm assuming 98% that is covered. That based on what I'm hearing.
What is covered?
based on them saying that that they're gonna sell the land and all this. So I'm assuming they got.
No, what
that.
I want to make sure, Mayor, on the dais, we
Okay.
agree that the sale of the land is going to be used to balance the 2020 budget. I want it to be clear that we understand that. We're going to
Because-
use $2.6
$2.6
million to balance the budget. We are using the money, $1 million to balance the budget, and we have the $1.1 million red light camera to balance the budget before we move forward.
Got it. Because my other thing is not so much that. My biggest concern is the utility and the stormwater.
We're going to
On-
do that one by one.
One by one. Okay. We can't loop it together, or you prefer it one by one, or
The
have
first
it-
thing, let's go on the red light camera. Do we have a vote for? Do we have some?
Go ahead,
We're
Mr.
not gonna vote. Don't
No,
worry.
yeah, I
We're
was
gonna
gonna say, I would just strongly recommend you just give me direction.
give you direction.
No, we. Okay. Do we have?
My direction is to leave it in. I think it's about time we bring safety back to our city. The money, it's not about the money, but this is a good time to bring our drivers into safety mode. It was brought up, I think you have numbers, I mean, we're not having a discussion, but less than 10% of our residents are getting the tickets. 90% of these people are going through our city, they're coming through. I was at my light yesterday, 2 people run the red lights.
That's when you for the red light. What about
I'm
you?
100%
Okay.
money or not.
Councilman Galvez.
I'm generally not in favor, although I would have the discussion of having a very limited implementation if we have to go there. I originally voted for the 6 red light cameras that the former city council approved, and then administration took it
Expanded.
upon themselves to expand it to 23. That is way over the top. I'm not really in favor, but you can twist my arm and I can have a limited conversation.
But me personally, I'm not there. No red light camera for me.
Totally. I mean, it's a dead on arrival for me for so many reasons. And one of the reasons that we talked about, in 2015, when we took it off, if we want to, not criticizing the program, because I heard stats of it, reducing this. Here's the thing, and this is where it kind of pains me, whoever gave you that recommendation. I don't care if it's 2% or 1% of the population. You have a city where you are way below poverty level. Our city, unemployment, probably the highest in the entire county, up in 20-something% based on what Mr. Joy is saying. So when you're looking at poor people, $150 or whatever that amount is, 158, who's on a fixed
277
income.
after 30 days.
I had these,
410 after 90 days.
Madam Vice Mayor, I understand, but this is.
They shouldn't run the red lights and they wouldn't pay
Madam
for it.
Vice Mayor, we could defer to do that because there's different things, these things where they would, there's a line that you don't pass, there's different things, that's why they were going to court and they were throwing it away, whatever the case is. If we need to do that, I think we have enough officers, because I already said, if you need to have them give tickets, then they need to be on the corner of 135th Street or hire more people to do that. That I'm in favor of. Not a camera, that's not, because that's an issue. And going back to my point, we are dealing with poor folks here who's trying to eat and do what they do. A lot of time these are unfair tickets because a lot of times it's a line. If you pass the line, if you do this, regardless what. My point is that we have a city where you have folks who cannot put food on the table. And you are saying, and we fought hard enough to take it off, and you have some residents, if your excuse is, well, they shouldn't run a red light. There are some questionable things around it throughout the state of these lights or how they operated. When we first had this discussion after it was taking off, my thing was we could have these cameras if they are issuing different type of citation, not necessarily red light, whatever the case is. For accident, I did not mind that. But for us to sit here and we know the type of folks that we have and we're saying to ourselves, as you look at the police budget, we can't put more patrol or these people giving out the actual ticket. I don't mind police officers doing their job and giving out the ticket. I told you, if they go on 135th Street in the morning, they'll make over $2 million in one day. That's the people flying from 135th, from 17th to 7th Avenue trying to get on 95 and on both sides of the road. And I am scared that one of these kids that's going to Ben Franklin, so it's all over the city. So you don't need a red light camera. If we need to look at police doing what needs to be done, we could look at that. We just look at a big budget for that. 26 million, whatever the amount is, 23.
It's over
20
$3.5 million increase for the past
So,
3-4 years.
You know, so I don't, when we look at the camera, we talking about poor folks. These things are very disproportionate the way they do it. It's something totally for me. So I'm totally against that. And if we're voting, I'm definitely on record.
What about you?
That was the first thing that I stated, is that I am not in support of red light camera to balance our budget.
Okay, that's when we are 1.1 that you need to find in order to balance the budget, and it seems like everyone agree on the $2.6 million to this.
With the 2.6 million, if they feel comfortable, I don't mind them. I'm going based on all the professional, from the attorney to the staff there, that they say they're going to get that money in. They're waiting for us, so they could use that to, I mean, you said the addition, we will make the decision on what to use it for.
It's not, listen, it's not just the sale of the 20. There is an amendment on the agreement. It's more than just that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, it's not just the
That's
sale.
that's what I was going to.
That's what I was thinking. If we're talking about
stuff.
only selling the 20 acres, 20.4, okay. But if we are talking about amendment to the agreement that was signed before, it's a lot more negotiation that's need to be done in that aspect. That's mean we're not just talking about that. That's mean if they want to come and say they want to exercise the 20.4 only.
They've already said that.
Yeah, but that's mean it's not just that. It's a
No,
lot
they
of
want
things
more.
after
They've
that.
expressed they want more, but
I want to make sure that we understand that in order to balance the budget, we are using 2.6 of this.
And let me be clear.
Piece.
What the mayor is referring to, the other stuff they want to talk about, is not in our budget, and we're not planning on using it. We haven't even talked about it. We're only talking about the stuff that we know we have legally in our bailiwick, and that's it. So, and I think all of you know, I think I've been trying to schedule a meeting with you to go over our analysis of the transaction with each of you, so we can talk about that.
Okay, and
I'm
you
looking
done?
forward to that meeting.
Okay,
Yes,
another
Mr.
question, and I understand that 1.1 have to be taken out of the budget. You're not planning on getting it from the $850,000 reserve.
Huh?
Yeah, no, he's not gonna.
$800,000.
How much money are you planning to add to the reserve in order to offset the deficit from the 8.1 million?
Right now, we have in this budget presentation that you have with these assumptions is 6.4 million.
6.4.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna reduce it with the red light camera.
I don't. Right now, as I sit here, I don't know what we will specifically do.
It won't be that one.
No, I can't say that. I will have to go look.
It
at
won't be that. I'm telling you, it won't be that one. You gotta find it, not that one.
So
I know you were coming there.
Well, sir, I tell you what. How about this? How about I've heard some direction tonight. How about me and my staff, we sit with you guys individually and go through this? Because, I have to say this. Going through this process, and I know we need to cut and we need to do the affordable housing, we need to do all those things that
You did not add, by the way, you did not add money for affordable housing. It's just
what do you call it?
No, the CRA got nothing to do with the general fund. They didn't. It's the CRA.
But our
as a matter of fact, for the past
our
4
CRA
years,
money
you've been
dollars,
here on
which
the
is-
council. We've been adding money from the general fund to add to that program. This year we didn't. That's when there is no money add to it.
But we did achieve the goal that you set.
That's
which
not what
is-
we are discussing. We're not discussing the CRA budget. That money is the CRA. We're talking
Okay,
about the
but-
general fund.
But sir, we have to have some flexibility to come up with a balanced budget. And
I
so-
understand that, but what
Okay.
I'm trying, the direction that we are giving you, you're not gonna use the reserve money to balance the budget when you have to take that 1.1 out. 1.1 out.
Okay, but, and I'm saying, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying. I still have to go through my exercise and my process and figure out some scenarios for you guys to consider as a board.
Yeah, but understand when you come in at the next budget hearing, if you do that, that's when we're gonna have to spend another 3-4 hours in order for you to go back and come in with a balanced budget.
Okay.
And
Well,
on top of that, we're just talking about 1.1, and I heard you talked about the sanitation is another.
so that, how much is that?
You talked about
I want-
Westport. We're not talking about Westport. We're talking
Yeah,
about
the storm-
sanitation.
yeah, the stormwater.
No, we're talking about the sanitation. That's
Is
the
that what it
cheapest
is,
one. The
Mr.
356 is the cheapest one we can get.
Ms. Morgan, the 356 edit is, what's the total? The 356, so what are we looking to
Instead of
bring in to
250
balance?
is 356.
I know, but.
Or
what-
the
what-
difference, how much
what's
it
the-
is.
What's the difference?
The additional revenue?
Yes.
1,027,000.
So 1,027,000. I just want to know, my colleagues on this dais about this 1.7 million.
No, not 1.7.
1.27. I know. Every penny counts.
1.027.
1.027 or
Yes.
1.
No, 1.027.
1.0. So 1 million. Okay. So 1 point. Okay. And that's for what is it again? That's for the stormwater?
Solid
No.
Solid waste.
Sanitation, yeah.
Sanitation. Oh, sanitation. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see some, I want to hear Councilwoman Keys and Galvin and
What I see,
Councilwoman
it's
and you,
it's
Mr.
two,
Mayor.
we have two fees, the stormwater and the sanitation. And since the stormwater is only gonna affect the enterprise fund, is that correct?
No, this went from, no, that affects the general fund.
The
Make sure you
stormwater,
use the microphone.
Sanitation?
No, not the sanitation, I'm talking about the stormwater.
Raj, use the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, the $1 million that affects the enterprise fund, the stormwater utility fund.
No, the sanitation, the 1
million.
The 1.27
Yes.
is going to affect the general fund.
Correct.
The stormwater is going to affect the enterprise fund, no? The water,
yes.
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 Okay. Okay, that's mean
Stormwater
what
utility.
we can do, and if we pass on the sanitation, at least since the stormwater is going to affect the enterprise fund, we can continue to subsidize that. Maybe next year we will see.
That was my initial.
Yeah,
we can do that.
We're gonna
can do
leave
that.
this.
Would
We're
that
gonna
be-
subsidize
If you,
the stormwater, and
if
then
the
we're gonna
direction
pass.
you're giving me is to forego the increase on the stormwater, we can do that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't affect the general fund.
Got it. And then, so the residents will not be getting an increase.
On the water.
On the storm
Water.
But on
stormwater.
sanitation, yes.
On sanitation,
Oh,
that's what I
Lord.
thought he just said,
$8.50.
yes.
How much is it?
$8.50.
$25 every 3 months. That's what it is. The sanitation for 25.
Here's-
We
and
used
some-
to listen. People been crying about $8.1 million in budget deficit. We need to understand that we've been subsidized the sanitation for the past 5 years. That's mean now all we ask you is to pay $25 for the garbage pickup every 3 months.
But they don't pick it up. That's the problem.
Okay, let's hire someone else to pick it up. That's what we are doing. We can hire someone else to do it.
What I can say, Mr. Mayor, and my colleague, I'm willing to negotiate, not negotiate, compromise in a better term, because, part of compromising is not that you get everything. In a fair thing, I would say no to all three, but based on what I'm thinking, Vice Mayor Galvin, the mayor, and is saying that we kind of compromise on that one, that the stormwater, so that would be an increase of what to the residents?
No.
Yeah, that would
No,
be.
not for the stormwater.
Yes, it would be.
No,
We're
we
not-
change that. We compromise
We're
on
not,
that. They're
we're
not
not gonna
gonna,
increase.
we're
the
not gonna
amount,
increase
just
that.
sanitation.
We're not going to increase that. It's only affecting the
The
enterprise
enterprise.
fund. Yeah.
So, Ms. Morgan, let me get this straight because I'll be extremely happy. I would just want to get it correctly. So we got the red light camera out. The sanitation that we were going to pass, we wouldn't do that. And then the stormwater, we would, which one? That's,
We're doing sanitation. Sanitation.
we do, we are
Sanitation
doing,
we would
okay.
pass.
Sanitation is passed. Okay, and the sanitation is the 1 million that we would charge the residents, how much for the year?
$102.48 more
Extra.
For
per
the
year.
year.
Okay, I
That's
could
been
live with that.
$25 every 3 months.
That's,
Or 28 cents per day.
Yeah.
okay, so Mr. Manager, is that a, okay. All right. So, okay, so sanitation, okay, although I'm not thrilled, but I see majority is okay in a compromise, I'm okay with that. All right. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'm good.
But what we want to mention about that $356 is not like you're paying Westwood $356. That's the minimum we can get for the pickup of our sanitation.
And trash.
That's mean if we're willing to pay whatever it is to get or different, that's mean it's way, way different. The stormwater was $74. They're gonna add $40. That's mean no, it's less than that.
It's $1 million.
You say million, okay.
So right now, Mr. Manager, you are 2 million, if I'm.
No, we're not.
But you can't have this.
No, we're not.
One on the general fund side, one in.
The other one doesn't have fund, is affecting the
so you guys
enterprise.
really-
The only thing we have is the 1.1 so far.
Okay, so you're not doing too bad.
I should be on the mic. I
All right.
apologize.
All right. Okay, Mr. Mayor, next.
Move to
Okay.
adjourn.
Galvin.
Okay, now, and
Are we,
Madam Clerk, first of all, let's,
are we lowering any of our events?
we're gonna do that. Madam
Can't
Clerk,
adjourn.
Yes,
do you have
Mr. Mayor.
anything to say about the budget?
I echo Councilman Desome's sentiments about the advertising budget. Definitely, if we're expecting to increase passport application fees, individuals need to know that these services exist. And it's a very important service, especially for a lot of our residents. And so radio advertising, advertising through other means, which I have already explored, that will be necessary, at least on that aspect. And in general, to help keep individuals informed about what's going on throughout the city, we definitely need to increase the advertising budget, at the very least. There were some other line item adjustments that I made. But I can meet with the city manager's office to go through that in a little bit more detail.
If you don't mind, Mr.
Wait.
Mayor,
Huh?
I was gonna ask the clerk, if you can put it on the record so we'll know.
No,
what-
let's,
let-
no, no.
let them do it like that?
No,
Okay.
she can
So you
discuss
will-
that, but,
Okay.
but,
We've already had a conversation about some
Yeah.
of the stuff, and I think we'll be fine.
and she's happy with the budget.
I don't know if she's happy with the budget, but.
I mean, a lot
We
of it
just-
just has to do with the fact that, city staff needs to be certified, and if we're reducing that cost dramatically, then we'll just have uncertified individuals in the office, and I don't know who that helps. So,
What do you
things
mean?
like that.
What do,
We have certification, so clerks are supposed to be
Okay, so-
certified,
okay,
and,
okay.
right, and so those trainings
I
are
understand.
important, and so it's mostly things like that.
But they don't need
Okay.
to go to Europe to get certified, right?
I had no intentions of sending them to Europe.
Okay. Just
One
saying.
quick question. Under CPND, do we? No, I know. No, we gotta make sure. Under CPND, do we have a housing inspector? Because I don't
Yes,
see
you
that.
do,
one.
yes.
Yeah.
Where?
It's budget. for it.
It's budgeted there. Half of it is budgeted on the CRA and
Yeah.
half in the general fund. So you only see it as a 0.5.
They
No,
don't
it's
have
not
general
here.
On
yet,
the
but
general
it's in
fund
the
side.
budget.
Oh,
But
it's
it is
not
a
here
full-
yet,
but
but
it-
it's in the budget.
Yeah.
Okay, those
It's
are,
there.
okay.
And remember, we said 29 hours for the cleaning crew. And you said you had a a department which is going to be housing. What?
Yeah, it's split. We took housing, social services out of the umbrella of CP&D, and it just will be a separate department on its own.
Will you present that?
It'll be in the, I think we did it on the, is it on the online version?
Is it?
No.
What you say,
Yeah,
present?
it'll be in the
Social
final,
Service Department.
we'll
He's
make
on
it in the final
CPND,
presentation.
but he's gonna.
Right, but he
We'll-
just mentioned
No, he's
that
gonna
it's
do
going
it
to be
inside.
split. Okay,
Yeah,
It'll
it's
be
gonna
in the
be
final
internal.
We'll make it in the final presentation.
okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, now.
Move to adjourn?
What
Kel.
about our events? Councilman?
Okay, for
I mean, we got 700,000 in parties.
what do you mean
We're-
parties?
we're cutting
Okay,
money.
first of all, for discretionary, I think everybody talked about discretionary, and I think we have $50,000 for discretionary plus $20,000 for trees.
No, not, that was last year.
Yeah, but this year, what do we have for discretionary?
45.
45 for total.
45 plus your 70.
52.
What do you mean? Can you?
You have, so remember you had two pieces. You had 7,000 that was in your office budget,
Mhm.
and then we had the
50.
The 50 in the, no,
Mhm.
not 50, it was
50.
70. Previously.
50 plus 20 for trees.
Yeah, 50 plus 20 plus trees, correct.
Mhm.
Now you have 7 still in your operating budget, and then 45 of everything else.
What do you mean
Total.
everything else?
So between your tree and the capital,
Why is that?
that was just,
We want. I want the 20,000 people. You got to take it from people who don't use that 20,000 for trees. But my,
I got-
as a matter of fact, I need more than I'm. Okay, for discretionary.
I'll do that.
I'm the mayor of the city. I cover 4 districts. I need more than $50,000 for my discretionary. Secondly, the 20,000 for tree. Every year I use my money.
Yes, you do, sir.
Okay, for the district.
I got it.
Okay, and now for the entire city, that's when I think I need more money for tree. And as a matter of fact, when you work the budget and we can use that money for trees, and I don't know how much you're gonna give me, but we need
Are we
that.
allocating an amount for trees? Because we have. the
We're gonna do
discretion-
tree and community outreach together, between tree and community outreach.
Okay.
That
But
will
can
be
we have
the
a-
that will be the
That's our
the title.
discretionary is
No, it's
community
coming next time.
outreach?
Huh?
So our discretionary is going to be community outreach?
No.
Discretionary is discretionary. That's mean
Yeah.
it's
Supposed
either
to-
you said $50,000, you give it to public works for capital improvement, or you keep it for discretionary. That's mean if we say capital improvement, it's better to put it on.
And give it to friends and family?
No, it's either you say discretionary or capital improvement. Now, if it's capital improvement, you just transfer it to public works. If
Okay.
it's discretionary, it's discretionary, and I think, as a matter of fact, I should get more for that. And we just been to an election, and it was not a.
My proposal was to keep it at the 77.
Not
from
77, it's 50.
No, I
plus
know, but I'm
7.
saying that when you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
The 20 for
50,
trees
20,
and
I would say
7.
tree and community
and
outreach
community,
for the
whatever
20.
that they do. That was my proposal. Anybody else on the floor could do whatever they need.
But as far as personnel,
but there was a reference
Trying
that
to
Vice
find
Mayor
money
made.
here.
Excuse me, Vice
We're
Mayor, you
gonna
made
find money. Go
a
ahead.
reference about giving it to friends and family. Would you like to
friend.
elaborate? Because what do you mean by that?
Well, if you look at the.
The ledger?
I have not gotten the ledger. I've been asking for it, so I don't have it, but
It's
I have
online.
looked at it.
It's not online.
Well-
I see
Well,
it
the
online.
expenditures are.
Yes. Yeah,
Every
so
check.
The expenditures are online. I'm not accusing anybody up here.
well, you just made an accusation.
Because there's a lot of checks to a lot of individual people, and I can't tell because it all says mayor and council.
Let me be clear. Hold on, Mr.
And there are
Mayor.
a lot of individuals up there,
I-
or in
but-
there, and little organizations that maybe it's an organization, but it's still an individual person, and a lot of money has gone out.
But the fact that you could sit here and you could make, and it's absurd.
And I'm not-
That, well, you just said something, and we need to
look at the
clear.
checks, okay.
Well, no, you can't look, because I have
But
looked at
you
the
have the
checks.
list. The list is everywhere.
Yeah.
The
so
list of the check, you
fact
can
that
just pull it
You
in.
would say, Vice Mayor, that people are giving it to friends and family. I would say I feel offended, because you need to walk that back, because I have never.
Maybe not family.
Well, you know what?
I mean, I'm looking at the.
I'm looking too, because I don't want this to be all night.
People say
No,
whatever
but
they want these
I
days,
understand that, Mr. Mayor, but if for her to say that publicly, I don't have no friends or family.
I didn't say. it was
No,
you.
Vice Mayor,
can't
you
tell who
say
it is.
something.
I
Well,
can't-
if you can't tell, then because there's a
Because
say.
I've been asking
I
for it.
understand it's online, but the fact that you will
not
sit
on-
here,
it is
yes, it
not
is, because I've
online.
seen it.
What's not online?
It's
I don't know what she's saying.
All
That's
the
not online.
checks, Mr. Manager.
All the checks are online, but they're not
Exactly.
broken down.
All the
It's
checks
just-
are online, right?
it's
And they
just to
break
mayor
down
and
by
council.
who issued the
Yes.
checks and the amount.
No,
So the
just
fact that
our
she would
office.
say, so if they're not online, then you just throwing out things out there saying
The
that, oh,
the
just
names
friends and
are online,
family.
But I can't tell who spent them.
I'm sorry?
I have been asking for several months. That's why I wanted that before the budget. There's a lot of expenditures.
Why you cannot do that? She cannot get
It's-
it. Vice Mayor cannot get it, Mr. Manager.
It's the 77,000 that we have.
Wait.
So for her
Wait,
to make
darling.
something like that, this is crazy.
There's a lot of money
She'll,
going out.
she'll
there.
have her
What's-
report in the morning,
but
sir.
no, but Mr. Manager.
That's when she been asking for it. She never got it. The author saw it. The city manager said it's you.
I'll make sure she has a report in the morning, sir.
How long she been asking for the report?
She has asked for a report before.
Huh?
She asked for it before.
And you never provided?
She reminded me today of the report. So I'll make sure she has it in the morning.
And Sunday,
People gonna
last
think
week.
that you been hiding something.
It's not.
I don't hide anything.
I don't think he's hiding it. I just haven't.
Yeah,
been
but-
getting it.
Discretionary, but
I-
I don't hide it.
Yeah, but my thing is a council
Can you put it
person-
online? People can see exactly.
It's online.
So every
So-
council member
let me-
who we give money to.
So let me clear something up. And I want to be clear, because I went through this whole thing already with Councilman Galvin. The transparency portal and the data there has all
of it.
this information. It is online right now. We do a separate sub report for our internal use. So, you know, sometimes when you send your request and I'll say, hey, you're a little shy here, or we got to change. We need to update that report so we can give it to the councilwoman. So it's not something that is just pushed out of the system.
Give it to
something that we have
everyone,
to do.
please.
Right.
Yeah, but going back to the point that a council person would sit here and say that other members are giving taxpayer money to friends and family, it's a
Maybe
little bit
I'll
absurd.
I'll retract
Um,
family.
I'm sorry, whichever councilwoman you say friends. First of all, a lot of people I said are friends or organization in this community. So the fact that unless you have background information exactly what you are saying, because I don't go and say checks that you give out to your organization, they are friends. So the fact that
they are my friends.
okay, so why would you
Okay,
throw
but
it out
if you
there
say that,
like
you
if
give
they
it to
are
your
friends?
friends too.
Because I'm guilty too, but mine are a lot less.
Jesus.
What you mean,
I'm
give it
guilty
to your
too.
friend? Who's
Oh, people that I'm.
Okay.
okay? If you say give it to your friend and family,
Because
that's
Councilman
Move to
Galvin-
adjourn.
Yes, yes.
It's not everybody
That Mr.
waiting.
Galvin-
Not there yet.
No, Mr. Galvin, I do agree. Mr. Galvin just sat here and said a constituent X 420. Do you consider that constituent a friend or a family, whatever the case is? I have the homeowners or group that you give to. Where does the line stop where people would not assume that people are stealing or are doing illegal stuff, or because what's being accused here is people are being unethical or whatever the case is. And I already stated before, respect goes a long way. I have not tell anybody what to do with their funds or whatever the case is, because there's this assertion that folks from other side of the city does not pay taxes. So whatever funds people need to tell people what they need to do with their particular funds. And I'm a little sick and tired of it. You know what? If somebody, whoever got them vote for you, let them deal with you, with your particular problem. But the fact that somebody who I consider a colleague will sit here and make an accusation that council members are giving money to friends and family, it's absurd. I don't have no family in this city. Well, I'm just telling you, well, I'm taking my name out. I don't have no family. I had a nephew and a niece who lived there. Now they live in Homestead. My mom does not even, I have no one who lives here who is connected with me. This entire community is my friend.
Okay.
So the fact that somebody would say,
Councilman, I will apologize.
I
I'm
understand,
going to
because
retract that. I'm a very sarcastic person, but there is way too much money going out of this city.
and everybody
Our tax-
respect
and our-
that.
And that is not fair to our taxpayers.
But guess what, Councilwoman? I just sat here and went over a damn budget that over 100 and something million. You sat there, you gave your opinion, and I respect that. I just went over line by line what I felt that was very spendful spending. For you to sit here to say, well, I feel that this line item, $77,000, is spending a lot. You did not go and talk about the different departments where you feel that are overspending, which I think there's plenty in this budget. But the fact that, because you have done this a lot.
I didn't do it
you
up here. I've
Well, you
already
have done this a lot because your thing is always when you get some emails from folks, you're talking about events. Oh, there's a lot of events and this and this. And that. Well, hell, City of North Miami Beach, which is way less than us, spent almost $1 million in event. Miami Beach, over $1 million. City of Miami, every city, and I went and looked at their budget. So if we're going to hide behind these things, oh, there's an event here, or the council is spending $87,000 here. No, let's talk about what's real. I understand that, and I respect that, and I'm a little sick and tired of it. This BS with the event here or the council having $77,000 to send this and this out. Well, hell with it. Guess what? We all pay taxes. So if my people want to give me $77,000 to spend, yes, let them do that. If your constituent have a problem with it, then they deal with you. Because it gets to the point where you can't, I can't take it no more because every time is this event. If your constituent does not want event, I understand that.
Councilman Desilme.
It's to the point, Mr. Mayor.
We just had an election, and it just seems like people
But
don't
they
want to
don't
put the
respect
result
that. They
behind
do
them.
not respect
They
folks.
just talk about
this is
listen. Some
Mr.
people
Mayor,
just
Mr. Mayor,
say
if I
whatever
might,
they want to.
I
Please,
think, if I might, I think we've given strong direction to the administration. Right now, things are starting to get a little heated. It is genuinely time to adjourn this meeting if there's not other constructive comments.
Are we done with
No,
with
if you
the?
wanna talk about events, let's talk about events.
No, but I'm not
Mr.
gonna. I'm not
Manager,
gonna
do you
get
have
on
the
events
direction
part.
on
Yeah.
how to move forward with the budget?
Yes, sir.
And
I'll be meeting with you individually as well.
I'll move to adjourn.
Madam Clerk, no, we haven't voted yet.
On what?
On the budget. That's the first hearing. We got what we want to do.
This is an ordinance. You don't need to vote tonight. You'd vote on the final.
On the
ordinance.
second one.
Second one, yes, sir.
Quick question, Mr. Manager, before we, and I'll second that, Councilman Galvin. Would you have enough time, all of the feedback that we give you as commissioners to go back in within a week?
Well, it's going to be less than a week. So right now,
Okay.
So by tomorrow, I will let you know.
Yeah, plenty of time.
We do have our
They can
second
move
meeting
the
already
second
scheduled
hearing.
for the 17th.
They
So
can
we
remove
can, if we work hard in the next 48 hours, we can get the budget turned around, get it advertised, because we have a 2 to 5 day advertising requirement, and then. Okay, well, we'll get it in. So we'll work on it.
Actually,
Madam Clerk, we're gonna vote
Mayor.
on the budget.
Yeah, I think based on.
Oh no, we got to vote.
Yeah,
I
based
didn't
on the
pay
language
attention
I'll
to
make
you
a motion,
guys.
Mr. Mayor. I make a motion that we approve the budget as amended through
The
the
first
evening.
with the
Seconded.
amendment, all the amendments that by directing
No,
staff to do the adjustment,
You're asking
the
us to do
necessary
that.
adjustment,
No.
and when
If you allow me,
Mhm.
approve the budget as listed with your direction to change it for the final meeting.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
So wait.
we will see again.
They're gonna make the changes. If we
Okay.
don't approve something tonight, we're gonna have to re-advertise and have
We're
a
gonna-
third
we-
budget hearing.
Okay, we're gonna
Move it as
we're
is,
gonna
and
pass
you've
not
given me-
as is.
Yes.
No, with the
Approve it
amendments.
as is with the direction that you've given.
We can
That's-
still vote
yeah.
it down on
Yeah.
second reading, but if we don't pass something tonight, this whole evening didn't.
No, we
count.
understand that. We're gonna vote anyway. That's when if we don't vote it with an amendment, you won't change the book. You got to bring me another book with
I'm gonna
changes.
Sir,
That's what it is.
I'm gonna bring you another book.
Okay,
But,
you have to bring me another book.
You will
An
have a-
amended budget based on what we
The direction, sir.
exactly.
But I'm
That's
asking-
when we got to vote the direction also, not just vote the book as it is.
That's what the amendments are.
That's what we say with the amendments.
I'll make a motion that we
sir,
approve
sir.
the budget as presented with the direction to staff.
Thank you.
And it was seconded by me, again.
I don't understand.
What your request is, Mr. Mayor, is what we're,
You're gonna pass the first reading with the amendment stated.
correct.
Okay, that's been
They don't want the word amendment.
At the next
Nope.
council, at the next meeting, they have to
Mr. Mayor,
bring me a new book.
Mr. Mayor, I really need you to hear me out, please. I need you
I
to
don't want
approve-
you, I
No,
don't
no,
want,
no.
okay, at the next, this is what I don't want to, because this is what you've been doing. We pass the budget, and after that, you bring me 2 pages, and at the end, in the middle of the year, when we asking you for the official budget book, we cannot get it.
I understand. You're asking me to update this.
Yes.
We have a new budgeting system, and we will be able to update this. What I'm asking you to do right now.
Why we cannot vote it with the amendment, that the red light, without the red light camera, for example?
The reason being, because we have such a short turnaround between today's meeting and my advertising deadline, I need you to approve it as
You
is.
can push the second reading.
Yeah,
We have until the 30th of September
we
to
can-
pass
yeah,
the budget.
department-
You
we
can.
we-
Yes,
yeah,
you can
yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
They did
Yes.
it. They already passed it through Department of Revenue.
Yeah.
So then that means we will.
The motion
We
is
have to
to
change. We have to change the second.
The
meeting.
motion is the passing the budget with the amendment.
I'll turn to the city attorney. Mr. Attorney, is there a difference between making the motion to approve with direction, any different from making the motion to approve with amendments?
There's no difference. The only difference
There's
is
no
what it
difference,
forces-
then
it-
let's-
it
I'll-
There
forces
is a
us-
difference
it's
because you're
gonna
talking about
change-
tax increasing or tax,
Sir,
right?
The managers has the direction that you've already voted. You actually took a vote on the items that you wanted to amend, and you gave him the direction to take those out. He can't come back to the next meeting with those in there with red light camera in the budget. I mean, everyone's here. It's been done in the public. It's not.
Our issue is we have to do a public notice of a proposed budget. We're asking that this be the budget that we presented tonight is the proposed budget. The budget that we're gonna hear and go through.
The
will
second
be
reading, are
the
you
second
gonna-
reading, we
are
will
you-
make the changes
and you're
to
gonna
the
put
book
it out
and bring
there.
and put and advertise that.
Okay.
Right.
I'll call the
Madam
question.
Clerk, how do you?
It's an ordinance, so we all in favor, right? Oh, you got a roll call, sorry.
We got a roll call. I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab B with directions as given to staff. The motion
Not
was
staff.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
mean staff? To the admin?
to the administration.
No, it's the same. Okay. Okay.
To the city manager. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estime Irvin. Councilman Estime Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Galvin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Keys?
Yes.
Councilman Desilme?
No.
Mayor Bieneme?
No.
The item passes with a 3-2 vote.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Galvin.